Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to live coverage of only the second ever special event of the Formula College World Championship. Tonight, we do something that we've never done before and compete in a double header. 2 points-paying races in one night for 250 total laps of racing action. I'll be your host, Cade Corbin, bringing you all of it live from the virtual Iowa Speedway here in Iowa. We have never run a doubleheader before in the Formula College World Championship or any of the CiL series. So regardless of what happens tonight, we are going to be making history. But I can guarantee that the on-track action will be just as exciting as that fact. We ran this race last season in Season 5, and it was an incredible race with Aiken Lamar getting the win. And hopefully tonight we'll see more excitement, more of the same. The ovals have not disappointed this season in the Formula College World Championship, and I can't expect that tonight is going to be any different. The recent ovals have been dominated by Wyatt Burton. The race, first oval race of the season, was won by Ryan Whitlock, and last season, as I said, this race was won by Aiken Lamar, but solid runs from drivers like Clint Halterman, Ben Fiore, Jake Cummings, and Nick Stockner mean that we could see a host of different drivers competing for the front tonight. Add that to the fact that we are getting down to it in the overall points competition with an incredibly tight battle for the lead between Cale Davidson and R. Muhammad Alif. And there's going to be plenty to talk about and plenty to look at for this one. So we'll go ahead and let you guys know about this format for this very unique doubleheader. We're going to be running 2 races. Both races pay complete points, but are a little bit shorter than your typical races. Last season, we ran 175 laps. Here at Iowa, a little bit of a short track. Tonight, each of the races will be 125. So we'll take a look here at this. It's a 7/8 mile track, 4 turns, variable banking, pretty banked in the corners, gets up to 14 degrees. That front straightaway tri-oval area is about 8, 9, 10 degrees, depending on where you're at. The backstretch gets all the way down to 4 degrees. Pit road speed, 40 miles an hour. Pace car speed, 50 miles an hour. And we did see this race last season, I believe, but we're going here again. And like I said, this is going to be our first time doing a doubleheader. And I don't think we've picked a track to do it better than Iowa. Like I said, some exciting racing. We've seen great stuff on the ovals thus far. And this is a very unique track. It's not quite a super speedway like we saw at Texas, but it does race quite a little bit like New Hampshire. But at the same time, it's got a lot more banking than New Hampshire, and so that is going to make it a very unique challenge. We're getting ready to take a look at qualifying here in just a few seconds. We'll be bringing you that, seeing who's going to be on the pole. But for now, just a couple of rules for this race. Number 1, only 36 drivers will make the field, and the order that you qualify in for the first race will be the same order that you start in for the second race. So qualifying, incredibly important, because if you qualify on pole, you'll be starting first for not 1, but 2 points-paying races. And as we've seen thus far this season, track position is incredibly important, because the farther you get back in that pack, the more likely you are to get caught up in somebody else's mess. Something happens in front of you. The deeper you are in the field, the more difficult it is to react, and the more likely you are to have your race over. Now, we do have a fast repair for tonight, as we've seen on ovals this season. If your car gets completely destroyed, just come on down pit road, repair the car fresh as new, You may lose a lap or two doing that. However, it is much better than getting knocked out of the race completely. Now, they do only have one fast repair for the entire evening, so getting caught up in trouble in race 1 and having to burn through that fast repair makes you a little bit more vulnerable in race 2. But again, qualifying well is a great way to control your own destiny, try to put it in your own hands, and stay out of trouble by being in front of the trouble. So before we get the green, we will see who can qualify on the pole and who will be starting at the rear, making it a much more difficult race for those drivers. Like we said last season, a lot of really competitive names. The one that I didn't quite mention was Clint Halter. Sat on the pole for this race last year, so expect him to be good in qualifying. That driver from UNC Charlotte also won the Cup race on Monday. So clearly he has a lot of experience at Iowa and bringing a lot of positive momentum here into tonight. So let's go ahead and take a look at qualifying here. We'll see where these drivers are shaking up and where their lines are going to take them. Incredibly bumpy track on the upper grooves close to the wall, so typically you want to down right around that yellow line. So let's go ahead and take a look here. And if we could go ahead and maybe ride along with, how about Wyatt Burton? Burton's been incredibly good on these ovals, as we've mentioned. Won Texas in thrilling fashion, similar way that he won Indianapolis. So expectation is that maybe we're going to see another really close finish tonight. And Wyatt Burton could very well be a part of it. So we're going to see if we can ride along with Wyatt Burton here, driver from Trine University. I think rightfully so, earned the nickname Mr. Excitement. Like we said, not only the way that he's won those races, but also the way that he's driven in those races, trying to get track position and then maintain it, driving very aggressively to do so. You see here, as he pulls out of pit road, we're going to get a chance to look at pretty much his entire qualifying run right there on the backstretch, swerving back and forth to try to get heat in these tires. They have an optimal temperature. We talk about this a lot, where the tires, even though they're 150, 170 degrees, that can still feel pretty cold. It can feel like these tires are skating around on ice. And so Burton's going to do everything he can to try to warm those tires up. That includes taking a higher line, driving over some bumps, and swerving on his warm-up lap. Now, you only count your fastest lap. So right here, this is his first, I believe, flying lap. So he's not worried too much about the speed on this one. He just wants to build up enough speed so that final lap is as fast as possible. You see here, going to dip all the way down to the yellow line, cut off this front stretch, make it as short as possible. That lap right there put him in third as it stands. He's going to use a little bit of the middle groove down in 1 and 2 into 3 and 4. He's going to, he gets incredibly loose, overcorrects it up into the wall and hard into the outside safer barrier for Wyatt Burton. We're going to take a look at this again from outside the car, and already the action heating up. You see he turns, and to me it seems like he uses just a little bit too much wheel trying to get that car to the bottom. The back end starts to slide around. He goes to correct it. So he might get a chance to turn another lap or so, but still, third place for Burton, just 300th off. Here's Halterman, like we said, your defending pole sitter from last season. And so we'll have to see what kind of lap he can put up. Hasn't completed a flying lap yet. So next time by, I would expect to see he will put up one of his fast laps. You look at just how close he gets to the wall there. The closer you get to the wall, the faster you can get right there. He was able to get down to the yellow line. That's what Burton wanted to do. Halterman able to successfully do it. And it looks like with that lap, wasn't faster than his second lap, so he's going to be starting this race in 7th, half a tenth a second off of pole. Right now being held by Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama in Huntsville. That 81 has been pretty good on ovals this season, and if nobody else puts in a lap here, and Ryan Whitlock has been overtaken by fellow OWR driver Nick Stockner. Here, Stockner looks like finishing up his qualifying run. We'll rewind it, see this lap in reverse real quick. But as he comes off of 4, he doesn't go quite all the way out to the wall. I think Halterman and a couple other guys might have lost a little bit of speed doing that. You want to be as short around the bottom as you can in the tri-oval area. And we'll wind it back up one more time for you. See this entire lap. So you can see they're not quite getting down to the yellow line in 1 and 2. There's a massive bump in the middle of the corner that really upsets the car, really makes it difficult to carry speed. A lot smoother in 3 and 4 and a lot more room on corner exit. Stockner takes advantage of it there for a lap of 16.988. Again, this is a 7/8 of a mile track. Able to do it in less than 17 seconds is blistering fast. Nicholas Stockner, your cup director, but Stockner's teammate Drew Williams, you saw at the very end by just 5 thousandths of a second, slid up into the second position. So it'll be an all Clemson front row for the first time this season if those results hold. And with just 30 seconds left in qualifying, it looks like they will. So we'll have your complete qualifying order for you momentarily. Stockner Williams look like they're going to be leading us to the green. It will be the first pole of the season for Nick Stockner. I think mentioned earlier, he had a really good run in this race last year, led a lot of laps, and starting this race in clean air, not only the first race, but also the second race. That's going to give him 2 opportunities to try to break away from the field, lead some laps, and put the strategy in his control. So qualifying has wrapped up, and I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to make a pick real quick. Actually, while we're looking at some warm-ups here, I'll go ahead and, oh no, we're going to do starting lineup. All right. Well, as I said, turning on the front row, I'll make my pick in a second. I want to see where everybody is starting before I make my pick. So good call by producer Lee Kane. Want to give him a shout out for all the hard work he's putting in tonight. But we'll see where everybody's starting. Like we said, Nick Stockner, Drew Williams, friends from Clemson on the front row, starting first and second. Just behind them, row number 2, OWR driver as well. That's Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama in Huntsville. To his outside, your point leader, R. Muhammad Alif from Ball State University. Starting in row 3, Wyatt Burton from Trine University, alongside your FC director, Ricky Paz from ECU. Starting row 4, it's Dylan Beatty from Ball State, one of his better starting spots of the season, and Jake Cummings from Converse. Starting back in row 9, he's been really good all season, Cale Davidson from Ball State, got to keep your eye on, and Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte. Rolling off 11th, it's Ben Fiore from Marist College. He starts alongside Thomas Crump, another driver from Clemson. Starting back in row 7, it's Carton Waller's best qualifying effort of the season from Paul Smith's college. He starts alongside Ball State's Nick Henley. Rolling off 15th, it's Lucas Moody from Ball State, alongside rookie Keegan Kallick from St. Clair. Starting 17th, Riley Birkins from New England College, alongside Joseph Grijalva from Purdue. And starting 19th, another Clemson driver in Andrew Burrell. He starts alongside Alex Hallinar from Binghamton. Back in 21st, it's Jason Wallet from Drexel U alongside Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College, your defending race winner. Starting back in 23rd, Marlo Duncan was up in the booth last week, but out on track tonight. Starting 23rd, he's got a little bit of a ways to go. He starts alongside Alex Finity from UNC Charlotte. Starting 25th, Jacob Dick from Ball State University, and to his outside will be Adrian Tubakovic from St. Clair College. And starting 27th, it's Andrew Voigt from Penn State University, 0.6 of a second off the pole time, but still able to make the field, and that will round out the field as that same group of drivers now pulls out on track to begin the formation lap. Swerving back and forth, same as qualifying, want to get a little bit of heat in those tires. So I said I was going to make a pick now that I've seen where everybody is starting. And you know what? I think we're going to see some chaos. I think we're going to see a lot of things happen. I don't think by the end of the race, track position is going to matter as much as it will at the beginning. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with the driver a little bit deeper on the starting grid. I have my eye on Cale Davidson from Ball State. He's been really good all season at both the road courses and the ovals, but Davidson hasn't really been able to finish out an oval race. You know, he's been up there, he's been in the mix, but whether it's getting caught up in an incident or getting passed late, he hasn't been able to necessarily finish one of these round track races out. I think tonight's the night that Davidson gets it done turning left And so, as I said, that number 2 car going to be a guy to keep an eye on. And to his outside, Clint Halterman, another guy to watch. Again, coming off a win in the Garage Shop College Cup Series on Monday, as well as a pole position from this race last year. So we know that he has pace. As the pace truck will be pulling in here momentarily, it's going to be OWR and Clemson's Nick Stockner and Drew Williams side by side, leading us to the green for the CiL Iowa doubleheader. And we are green flag racing. Big 3 wide for the second spot. That's Wyatt Burton on the bottom. Ryan Whitlock stuck in the middle with Drew Williams to his outside, but Whitlock gets a good lunge into turn 3. He's going to clear Burton and try to slide up in front of a leaf, a little bit 3 wide behind him. That gets sorted out. Now Clint Halterman looked to the inside, but he's going to tuck back in line behind Wyatt Burton as Nick Stockner leads lap number 1. Car spinning in the back. I think that's Marlo Duncan, but for the moment we stay green, and now the caution has come out. And I may need to be corrected on that. No, it was Nick Henley. Different white and red car, and he makes contact there. I believe that was Thomas Crump. We roll it back. It looks to me like he gets a little bit too high on exit, and to his outside, that car just comes down a little bit, and that may have been a little bit of net code. I think I saw between those cars for the entire time. We could ride along in there. I don't know about that one. Definitely contact. Definitely, maybe a little bit of contact, but yeah, really difficult to judge coming off of these corners. If you have a car at your outside, trying to figure out exactly what that other car is going to do. You see, riding along with Nick Henley, he comes up a little bit. We're trying to see who else was involved in that one. It was Thomas Crump was the other driver who made contact with Henley there. I don't think Crump necessarily did anything wrong, just exited the corner, maybe a little bit lower than typical, and those 2 cars made contact, and unfortunately, it was Henley winding up on the receiving end of most of the damage. Now, unfortunately, he will have to burn through his fast repair, but Henley should be allowed to continue in this race, might lose a couple of laps on pit road. That fast repair is fast, but the process of towing your car to pit road, that takes a minute or so, and so that'll lose you a lap or 2 under yellow. And it didn't take long for the cautions to come out. There was also something early in the race involving Adrian Tuberkovich. That car spent a significant amount of time on pit road. As that caution came out very early in this race. But we'll get them rolling, and we'll get started back up, see if we can't get a little bit of a longer run going here. Still 120 left to go in the first event of the night. And Nick Stockner able to maintain the lead on that restart. I think that's going to be one of the keys to success tonight. Another key to success that we might want to take a look at is our fuel strategy, and a couple of facts for this track. These cars can go about 65 to 70 laps by my guess on fuel. And so we'll see if that comes into play. Tire wear is going to be a factor. Maybe not enough that it's worth it to split this race up into thirds, but everybody will have to take at least 1 pit stop. And so it is likely that they'll try to maximize that to have fresh tires, maybe short pit a little bit, try that undercut strategy that we've seen. May also be advantageous to pit if we get a yellow before that fuel window is completely used up. But again, that's about 65, 70 laps that they can go, although I anticipate that they'll split it more around 60 to try to maximize their tires. So we should be coming through the green this time. And yes, that pace truck going to pull off Nick Stockner, Drew Williams, still the top two, and they lead us back under green. Stockner getting a huge jump there, opens it up to about 8 car lengths back on Williams. Our Muhammad Alif able to slot into the third spot. Ricky Paz got a good start on the drop of the green flag. That car up to fourth. But the top few single file, and then they're side by side a little bit deeper in the pack. But the first move there, it looks like that's a move Wyatt Burton to the inside of Ryan Whitlock. They're going to be side by side on corner exit. Not too close, but Burton has the inside. Whitlock going to give it to him. And by doing that, able to give the 81 the run on corner exit. You know, he kind of able to squeeze that 26 car down a little bit. Burton didn't have the room to run on corner exit. And that let Ryan Whitlock get that run off the corner. Once again, Burton going to send it to the bottom, but we're going to see right there, he has to lift out of the throttle just a little bit. His speed dips just a little bit more than Whitlock's, and that momentum carries the 81 car all the way down the back straightaway. Not an incredibly long back straightaway, but definitely long enough that momentum does matter and will matter throughout the entire race. So for the moment, Whitlock pretty handily able to hang on to the fifth spot, a little deeper in the pack, a little bit of contact between Tubakovic and Lamar, battling for the 26th position, but those cars both able to keep it rolling. And so with that being said, here they are. These three, along with Nick Henley, have been under a blanket trying to work their way back up through the field. Tubakovic took a fast repair under that yellow, and I believe so did the 9 of Andrew Voigt. So not entirely sure what happened between those drivers, but they may have already burned their fast repair for the evening. As you see, Tubakovic going to slide up, gets into the wall, Lamar into the back of him, but able to back up enough that the contact doesn't ruin both of their races. That's Andrew Voigt now on the outside of Lamar. And Lamar going to try to hold the position on the inside. Voigt up in the bumps, but still able to keep the throttle down and make the pass all the way back. That's for the 24th position. And so we'll have to see if that damage affects Lamar at all. But Aiken Lamar right now holding on to his car just barely. Back up front, here's Ricky Paz in the fourth spot. Just behind him, Ryan Whitlock, then Burton. Burton still following the 81 pretty closely. But in that dirty air, these are pretty high-speed corners. You're going to see him into the corner, only getting down into the 160s, which if you drive on the highway going 80, I'll just double that. It's not too fast, but definitely pretty quick. Something looks like happened to Alex Hallinar as he is losing spots rapidly back in the 15th, about the 16th spot. That's Hallinar. Oh, Burrow goes for a spin down in the grass. The front wing is missing on the 57. That's Joseph Grajava came up, and the Binghamton machine kind of got treated to a little bit of rallycross there. That car jumped, and for a moment, the undercarriage was showing. This was deep in the field. We are still green, and yeah, Grajava just comes up, and the 057 is there. And this was a battle for inside the top 15, I believe. Yeah, just not clear. And Hallinar goes ahead and clears the jump. But ever since his car's been destroyed, he able to make it to the pits. Andrew Burrell spins, avoiding him. Burrell into pit road as well. You can see there the 121 spinning in the background. And that car definitely doesn't look fun to drive. It certainly isn't. That was a live look at pit road. But back up front, back on track. As I said, we are still green with Burrell, Hallinar, and Grajava in the pits. Looking at Whitlock in in fifth. As I was saying, pretty high-speed corners, which means that dirty air is going to play an effect all the way around. It'll give you a little bit of a draft on the straightaways, but it takes so much downforce away from the wing of these cars that it makes them all the more difficult to drive in the middle of the corners, which is where speed is going to be either gained or lost. And so having to follow someone, getting caught up in that aero wash, makes it incredibly difficult to run someone down and make a pass. Got to wait for him to make a mistake, almost like we saw there with Ryan Whitlock, as he got loose on corner exit, but was able to save it in fourth gear, up to fifth gear down the front stretch. You see him hugging the wall. That's the line that Ricky Paz in front of him is running, and he wants to stay right behind to get that draft. Coming off of two looks super sketchy. Both of the incidents that we've seen so far today have happened there. Both Nick Henley and Alex Hallinar have had really bad experiences exiting turn two. Similar issue in the Cup race on Monday. I have a feeling that's just the way that this track is, that character. You see that wall kind of comes toward you. It finishes the corner, but then it continues coming to the left. And so as a driver, even when you want to be on the straightaway, you have to continue turning the wheel to the left because the wall is basically coming towards you. It's a little bit scary and a whole lot nerve-wracking. But Ricky Paz, you see here, he's going to stay on that wheel even after he's officially out of the corner. But it looks like he's getting run down a little bit by Whitlock and Burton. The 81 bringing the Trine University driver right with him. You can see Burton has closed up quite a few car lengths. Now he's right on the bumper of Ryan Whitlock. And now he's got to make a decision of what he wants to do. As look at that mess in front of him. They've caught a couple of lap cars, including the 38 of Adrian Tubakovic. I believe I was mistaken. Tubakovic may not have taken his fast repair. He may have elected to try to save that for race number 2, knowing that he'll start that one in the pack rather than being a couple of laps down, considering this one a little bit of a sunk cost. But that 38 car way off the pace. So as these drivers catch him, we'll see what they can do to work their way around that slower lap car. Right now, Tubakovic just in front of a leaf. Now Burton, another look to the inside of Whitlock. The momentum there for Whitlock. Whitlock goes to the inside. Paz had a little bit of an opportunity for a block, but Whitlock stuck with it. Paz jumped back to the outside and able to maintain momentum down the straightaway. And now he's going to get a push from Burton. Burton took the gap that was opened by Whitlock having to try to make a move on the bottom, and Burton got a big run off the corner. Now Burton in the bumper. Paz, I think they might have been bump drafting at Iowa, as Paz looks to split it 3 wide with the lap car of Aiken Lamar. And now Paz going to block the bottom, go all the way to the other line, and back way out. He had to give it to Burton and Whitlock, just not enough room to race. And Wyatt Burton jumps 2 spots, goes from 4th to 6th, takes advantage of a lap car, able to get in the preferred lane. Whitlock made an aggressive move to the inside of the 19 of Ricky Paz that opened the door, gave a hole to Burton, and Burton put his car right where it needed to be. Wyatt Burton up to the 4th spot. Ryan Whitlock holds on to 5th. The big loser, and that is Ricky Paz. He slides back to 6th, and now getting caught by the 95 of Jake Cummings. And there is Cummings. You can see bearing down a little bit on Paz. Ricky Paz got in that battle, decided to just back out. He was bottom of 3 wide, going into a really tight, bumpy corner. I think decided that it just wasn't worth it. Got a long race to go, and then a whole extra race after that. So just going to save his stuff, get around the lap car cleanly. He's going to have to defend Jake Cummings, but if Cummings is pushing a little bit, that might equal these tires out. You know, Paz definitely got those Firestone tires a little bit hot by getting engaged in that battle. So he'll try to do a little bit to cool him off here, even with Jake Cummings in the mirror. Not an easy thing to do while you are racing for position, is try to cool those tires down and manage your stuff a little bit. But it looks like that's Dylan Beatty in the red car, got helped by the lap car of Lamar just a little bit. Now Lamar disappears. Oh, he's back. There's a live look at Dylan Beatty trying to work his way. He is middle of 3 wide, and a look of absolute concentration on the face of Dylan Beatty as Clint Halterman makes a move to his inside. Beatty barely clears Lamar, but he gets to the outside on corner exit. That lets him put the power down. Now going to run the middle, catching the lap car of Tubakovic. And Beatty able to clear Halterman on corner exit. The inside lane is open if he wants it. And Tubakovic going to stay up in the way high lane, just getting out of the way. Think he grabbed the wall a little bit, lost a lot of momentum, and great move there by Aiken Lamar to avoid that. I believe Lamar and Tubakovic are both fighting for position, 3 laps down. No, Lamar only -1. Tubakovic is -3. So off the lead lap, but not for a position. Uh, Andrew Burrell also 3 laps down. Nick Henley, Joseph Berjalva -2 as it sits. There's Andrew Burrell able to get some repairs done after sliding through the grass. Oh, and there's Jacob Dick. That car sitting on pit road, been there for quite a while now, and and hard into the inside wall. That is on lap number 26. So quite a few laps to go. Jacob Dick, that trouble spot, turn 2, like we talked about, reached out and bit him. Fortunately, we were able to stay green, but Dick's been on pit road for quite a while now. I have to believe that he's doing that strategy that we talked about earlier, possibly saving that fast repair for the second race, because as we've seen, it took 2 laps under yellow to take a fast repair. Even though you damage your car, and even though the fast repair is supposed to be fast, towing that car back to pit lane took 2 laps under yellow. And so not wanting to give up those 2 laps, he's decided to save it for race number 2 just in case something happens, knowing that he will start that second race here in just about 80 laps on the lead lap and in the middle of the pack. Here's Ryan Whitlock stalking Wyatt Burton, had to give up that spot to the 26, got caught up in a battle in traffic, and now he's trying to get it back, staying right on the bumper of the 26. No good passing opportunity there, but he's going to try to keep the momentum up and maintain here. Now he looks to the bottom. I think Burton flipped up just a hair, ran the outside lane. Burton's going to get the momentum down the back straightaway and clear Whitlock. You see Ryan jerk the wheel back to the right to tuck up behind 26 on the straightaway. Just behind them, Jake Cummings took 6th from Ricky Paz. Cummings now nothing but clear track, and there is Paz looking to the outside, seeing if he can't get a run off the 95, but didn't enter the corner side by side until that short distance around, along with Cummings exiting all the way up to the wall. Allowed the Converse University driver to scoot away a little bit, now deal with the lap car of Andrew Voigt. Looking at the inside of the 9, Voigt gonna just stay out of the way, and Lamar, more damage, missing the right front wing as he pulls that car down into pit road, and just misses it. Pulls a little bit of a Kyle Larson if you're an NASCAR fan, hits those barrels on the entry of pit road. He's downshifting, definitely intentionally trying to pit here, and did not slow down enough. Now, pit entry and pit exit, but definitely pit entry, incredibly difficult to do here at this just under a mile track. And so we saw it right there firsthand. You have to get slowed down on the racing surface, which is dangerous to do when there's drivers around you. And he just did not use enough of the brake pedal, had to steer in a little bit too late, and found himself on a collision course with those barrels. This is a battle for the lead, heating up a little bit now, with just around 75 to go in this opening race of the CiL Iowa doubleheader. The laps ticking by pretty quick. We estimate pit stops here in anywhere from 10 to 20 laps. Drew Williams hunting down his teammate Nick Stockner, working through heavy lap traffic. That was the 38 of Tubakovic that they just went by. The next car just ahead of them looks to be Andrew Burrell. So we'll see if Burrell plays a factor into this. He shouldn't. He's got 2 OWR Clemson teammates just behind him, so shouldn't give them too much trouble. Already a couple of laps off the pace, but just getting in that dirty air could give Williams an opportunity to close up on Stockner. Stockner not able to complete the move there, and that opens up the door just a little bit for Williams. Stockner able to get around Burrell. He's clear on corner exit. Williams not able to slide up the track because the 121 is there, and now they're set to do battle. Lap car in front of them is not a teammate, and currently on the lead lap, I believe, that is Riley Berkins trying to hang on to the lead lap. We've seen this come into play so much before at these ovals. A caution can come out at any time. You want to be on the lead lap when that yellow comes out. Right now, Birkin's back in the 19th spot, but if the yellow comes out, that driver from New England College will restart at the tail end of the line, right with everybody else, with plenty of opportunities to gain position. So Birkin's a little bit of an incentive to fight here, and yep, goes to the inside lane, blocks Nick Stockner. Gonna take the outside lane here. That opens it up for the driver of the 124, but the 33 gets the power down, able to stay ahead of the Clemson University driver. Here's Birkins from New England College in the 33, now finds a little bit of aero wash from the car ahead. That's going to slow momentum down just a little bit, as I believe that is Carson Wallace, who is also on the lead lap. So Waller's fighting to stay here, a little close on corner exit there. Carson Waller's same deal as Birkins, wants to stay on the lead lap if he can. Looks like Birkin's going to have to give it up here. Still power down, technically ahead of the leader at the line, technically on the lead lap for both Wallers and Birkins. Now Stockner able to slide right between the two of them. But look who's been brought into this battle. That red and white car from Ball State, Muhammad Alif, slides to the inside. A little bit of a slide job. Williams goes for the crossover. Three wide on the exit of turn 4, and now Ryan Whitlock has taken the 4th position from Wyatt Burton and driven himself right back into this battle. 3 wide there. Here comes Whitlock. Wallers and Birkins battling for position, but now a lap down. Birkin's going to get out of the way and let Whitlock by. Alif having to deal with Wallers. After a forgettable race last week at Road Atlanta, Wallers finds himself in the thick of it again. But it looks like Whitlock's going to get clear in the top 4, once again single file, but a lot closer than they were a few laps ago. Ricky Paz has slid all the way back to the 12th position. Jason Wallet was up to 10th, back to 16th, and look at this, 3-wide battle, contact there between Ben Fiore, and I believe that's a lap car of Jacob Dick, Marlo Duncan just behind them, and they are still 3 wide. Ricky Paz outside of 3, does all he can do to keep the power down. But Ben Fiore gets the position on corner exit. Marlo Duncan going to try to follow. That is the battle for 12th. And just behind them, Thomas Crump. We mentioned that a little bit of contact with Riley Birkins. Whoa! Paz has to make a great save there. Keeps the car going straight. But Marlo Duncan gets ahead. And you can see there off to the right in his mirror, Thomas Crump from Clemson. Great run from Clemson. Unfortunately, a spin for Burrell, but there are 3 other drivers all inside the top 15. And now another spot to Paz. Now the lap car of Lamar goes around Paz. I have to believe that it's either a little bit of damage or a lot of tire wear on the 19 from ECU, as that car's been doing nothing but going backwards. The other car that I just mentioned, Jason Wallet, was up in the top 10, and he's going to swing it nearly 4 wide. As Jason Wallet lunges around the top. Wallet clear of Paz as the backward slide continues. Back up front, car on the wall, that's Carson Wallers, keeps it straight and going forward. Right now, he is alongside Cale Davidson. And that was a close call a little bit farther back to back. Everybody keeps it straight. There is Davidson. Halterman was able to use that moment to slide by. So Clint Halterman, after starting a little deeper in the field than we're typically used to seeing him, slowly working his way forward up to the 7th spot for Halterman. And now Davidson under fire from Lucas Moody. Moody gets a great run on corner exit. Going to be side by side down the straightaway. Fire it off into 3. Moody might be clear if he wants it. And it looks like he has the position, not quite a full car length ahead of Davidson. Davidson holding strong on the outside, but this position goes to Moody, about a car length between him. Davidson's still there in a fight, but it looks to me like the 2 car has burnt his tires up just a little bit more than Moody. As we have a change up front, Muhammad Alif has gone to the lead. He's got around Williams and Stockner. Ryan Whitlock in that fight as well. But we're going to rewind it here to see the move. It looks like he was able to pick them off one at a time, backing it up about 3 laps. Williams gets a great run on Stockner, jumps to the inside at the last moment, decides to back out, and that opened the outside for Muhammad Alif to power around, and then it looks like carries that momentum and is able to pull a really similar move on Nick Stockner. Stockner's led this race for the past 60 or so laps from the drop of the green, leading it from the pole position. Muhammad Alif gets a little bit of momentum off the outside, able to get the crossover. Stockner wasn't clear for the block, and then Alif powers it into turn one and is able to get the lead. And yellow has to come out just as Muhammad Alif grabbed the lead. I believe we saw green flag pit stops about to kick off as well, so this throws a wrench in everybody's plans. That car's destroyed, and we are mid-replay, and two cars are flying. That is Lucas Moody. Excuse me, that is a couple of the other Ball State cars. Ben Fiore here, I believe that's Jacob Dick, and contact. Launches them airborne. Lamar and Crump able to avoid. Everybody else gets through it, but sliding on his roof, trying to identify who that is. We're going to get you a ride along with that car. Here's on board with Ben Fiore. Right here, no indication that anything is going to go wrong. And then the cars in front of him just start going, and he does a barrel roll, and then a couple of more. That was Dylan Beatty who was involved. Beatty running in the 11th spot when this happened. And that might be his teammate Jacob Dick. Yes, it is. No, Beatty was running ahead. And I think it was Dick that got into the 20. So there is what happens to Ben Fiore. As my goodness, it's moments like these that we are glad that this is a simulation and not a real race. Luckily, all those drivers. Okay, there's Dylan Beatty. The ride that he went for. And it looks to me, the other car involved in that was Jacob Dick, as pit stops underway for the drivers not involved. Everybody coming down for fuel and tires. We mentioned this was right out in their fuel run. Muhammad Alif going to win the race off pit road. And then it looks like it's Drew Williams. Nick Stockner drops from second to fourth. Wyatt Burton had given up a position to Cummings on track there, and he's given up another. So Halterman moves up to sixth. Keegan Cowlick hanging up to the top 10 spot, just behind Lucas Moody and Cale Davidson, will round out your top 10. But I believe a few drivers that we see out on track right now, including the 19 of Paz and the 84 of Marlowe Duncan, had already pit, came in under green. They're going to get to wave around here, which will give them... Actually, no, I believe they'll just have to restart in front of the leaders. I think in that... Well, but if they are not allowed to wave around, then these cars will restart just in front of the leaders, one or so laps down. So we'll see what these lap cars restart. But Muhammad Alif will be your leader on this restart. Looks like we'll take the green with about 48 to go in this race. So Alif, for the first time tonight, will be starting with clean air. Nick Stockner, for the first time, will be starting in dirty air. And these cars will be allowed to wave around. If I was mistaken. Andrew Foyt, Ricky Paz, Aiken Lamar, all of these drivers going to get one lap back, but some of them were multiple laps down from crashes earlier, such as Brizalva, Henley, and others lost 2 laps pitting under green. Pretty long pit road here, honestly. Starts at the exit of turn 4, goes all the way to the exit of turn 2, so about half the length of this track, and as fast as they're clicking off laps, around 16, 17 laps, it is incredibly easy to lose 2 laps under green if you do make a green flag pit stop. So here we go. 48 laps to go. Just 13 cars on the lead lap. Back to Alex Finity. Muhammad Alif takes the green, and we are racing once again in Iowa. Leaf leads them out of turn 4. A little bit of a challenge there from Drew Williams, but the gap about 2 car lengths. Williams going to get a little bit of a tow down the front straightaway. Nothing there. And still single file for the top few all the way back to a little bit of a battle with Burton. But Burton singles it out as farther back in the field. Riley Burkins in the 33, hard into the outside wall. That car has lost the front nose. For the moment, we stay green. But back here, side by side, your first battle, not single file, is Clint Halterman and Jake Cummings. Halterman trying to jump into the top 5 for the first time today. And here is possibly what happened to Burkins, looking at the 9 of Andrew Voigt. Voigt back here racing, I believe, Ricky Paz. We see them side by side, and there is Burkins. That is the aftermath of whatever happened to the 33 car. So backing it up should be just before this, but you can see Burrell back there, Fiore back there, and here it is. Burrell grabs the outside wall, and Burkins not able to float quite enough. That's Cale Davidson sneaking around the wreck. Something happened to Davidson. He may have been one of those cars that tried the undercut. No, he's up there in the top 10. Never mind. He's in 8th. Sorry about that. But yeah, Cale Davidson had to start back with those lap down cars and nearly got himself caught up in the incident. There's Burkins exiting pit road. Looks like that 33 car's taking a fast repair. But mere laps after fighting to stay on the lead lap, Burkins has had to take a fast repair under green, which will absolutely kill that race, and have to wait until race number 2 to try to make something happen for New England College. Will blend just in front of Clint Halterman, but 4 laps down for Burkins. Back up front, battle for 3rd. Whitlock on the outside of Stockner. Stockner, your pole sitter, slid back 3 spots, but I believe he still has the opportunity to build some forward momentum here. Fresh tires on that car. We've seen him do a really good job on takeoff, as that was nearly contact there between Wyatt Burton and Lucas Moody. But they're able to keep it single file. Burton drives away with the 6th spot. At one point, that 26th car was up battling for 3rd. He settled out in 6th, so we'll have to see if he can turn it around or something. We talked about it before. Definitely know him as a guy who is really good on ovals. But for this race, it seems that Iowa not necessarily as strong for him as his other ovals tracks. Also, a lot of drivers put in a lot of practice for this one. Not necessarily a home race, but a strong race. You know, that track that you just feel really, really good about. It's that case for Nick Drew Williams. You know, they put in a lot of practice because they really feel like they can do well. And this is Drew Williams grabbed the lead from Muhammad Alif. He was able to do it, I believe, on the inside, and for the first time, Williams leading tonight. After our second big lean change, is now Alif nearly gets into the wall on the exit of turn 2. Alif finds Whitlock at his inside. Whitlock going to drive it in deep, and he is just about clear. Send Ryan Whitlock to the 2nd position. Alif momentum on the outside. And I was wrong about that. Whitlock not able to maintain 2nd. Alif gets a great run off turn 2, holds on to the 2nd spot. Now Stockner brought back into this battle. They're going to fan out across 3 different lanes. Whitlock, a little bit of a higher lane. He may have an opportunity for a crossover here. He takes it, jumps to the inside of Muhammad Alif. Stockner watching both of these battle side by side as Alif has the outside, has the momentum, not quite able to clear Whitlock. Now he does, and able to use all the racetrack. That opens up the outside. Stockner going to slide into the 3rd spot now. Does he clear Whitlock from corner entry? Yes, he does. Now Stockner going to use the outside groove there. Can he get a run on Alif down the back straightaway? Not this time. And the pressure is starting to build. You see that number at the top left of your screen. 92 out of 125. Just over 20 laps to go. And do the math, at less than 20 seconds a lap. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. So these guys know we are getting down to it, getting down to business. Drew Williams able to open up about a 1-second lead on Muhammad Alif. That 123 car had some hidden rocket fuel or something, because he has found clean air and taken off. possibly a willingness to push his tires just a little bit harder than the rest of this group. But as I mentioned, we are almost done with this one. Might not be a whole lot of reason to save now. We'll see if saving does anything. A Leaf, a second and nearly a half back of Williams, with Nick Stockner now running right behind him. Whitlock settled back in the 4th position. Riley Birkin's just behind them on fresh tires, but 4 laps down. So that 33 car shouldn't play too big a part in the battle. As we've said before, this race will pay full points. This is the exact same as a finish. In fact, it pays the same even as the Indianapolis 500. So all the incentive on the line to go out just because this is race 1 of the night. This is the end. This is the finish. And I did the math a little bit wrong. There is still 30 to go, now 29. But still not long at all. Stockner, Whitlock side by side for 3rd. This is for a podium position. Nothing there for Whitlock. He tucks up behind the 124. These two have raced each other a lot. They know each other well. And I have a feeling that's going to play into how this battle goes. They should know each other pretty well. Stockner able to open up a gap there. That lap car, Birkins is between them, and just behind them, there's about 4 cars under a blanket. Burton, Moody, Davidson, and that is a lap car, I believe, of Andrew Voigt. Moody nearly grabs the wall, but it's safe. Excuse me, that is Wyatt Burton. I was looking at it wrong. Halterman, Burton, Moody, and Davidson is this group. 5th through 8th up for grabs, as well as 2nd through 4th. So a lot to keep your eye on. Moody just 1 lap after that sketchy moment, looks to the outside of Burton. Nothing there. He's going to try the outside again. It seems to me like the outside of 2 gives you a little bit more of an advantage than the outside of 4, but Moody able to get it done on the outside of turn 4, down the front straightaway, put Lucas Moody up to 6th. Now he's looking for 5th on Clint Halterman. He had the outside lane, should have momentum. Looks to the bottom. He's going to look to wrap the yellow line here in 3 and 4. Gets the right front fender all the way down to that line. Slides up on exit, but that slide bled some speed, and Halterman hangs on to the 5th spot. Now side by side back there for 7th. Nothing there for Wyatt Burton. But a lunge from Davidson to the inside. Once again, Burton powers off to the outside. Gets the draft from Moody. Burton clears Davidson again for now. Now he goes to the bottom. Moody going high. A little bit of clean air on the nose of that 26 for now. He keeps the position ahead of Davidson. Now Burton looks to the inside of Moody. Nothing there. Moody looks a little to the inside of Halterman. Nothing there. A little bit of mind games, right? Can you play a fake? Can you get that guy to bite? If you can get that guy to commit to the bottom, you might be able to jump to his outside. That's exactly what Moody did there. Momentum for the 13. Another great pass up top for Lucas Moody. Lucas Moody forward to the 5th position, and he may have enough time to start hunting down the top 4 as he drives away from Halterman a little bit. Now Burton to the inside of Halterman. Halterman got to the 5th spot, now sort of stalled out, trying to stop it from sliding the other way. As Burton to the inside of Davidson, that battle for 7th will not go away. And it goes to Davidson now. He's able to clear the 26 car and nearly to the left rear of Clint Halterman. Nearly contact, but Davidson was able to keep it clean as they catch the lap car of Birkins. Birkins going to back off, run the bottom 3 wide for a moment. But Davidson tucks up behind Halterman. Now momentum into turn 1. Davidson runs the bottom. They're going to be side by side on corner exit. Now that spot for the moment goes to Davidson. Halterman should have momentum up top, right up against the wall. Clint Halterman has 6th at the line with just 17 laps to go in the race. Again, Davidson able to look to the inside. He is able to carry a pretty good run off the corner, but by the time they got to the flag stand, Halterman had him clear. Davidson can see that that move isn't going to work. He's going to have to try something different. Right there, drives right up to the bumper of Halterman, looks to the inside here. Side by side, Halterman on the way outside groove, up in the bumps. They give him fantastic momentum, but they're side by side as they head into 1. Does Cale Davidson have the slide job? No. Halterman pinches him just a little bit and gets a great run off the middle of 2. Still, Halterman is clear, but Davidson not going to give up. He is bound and determined. He is finishing this race in 6th or probably in the grass. We'll see. Davidson having a really good season. Dives to the bottom once again. He really wants this to work. He gets a great run there. He gets the side draft. Now he's got the middle. Halterman's got the top. Neither car on the bottom. They both should have pretty good momentum down the front stretch. Davidson seemed to figure that one out. If he can enter turn 3 at the inside of the 100 car, he can stay there and get a good run down the front straightaway. Scaring him just a little bit. Once again, nearly contact with the right front of Davidson. Phenomenal stuff here. Up in front of them, another phenomenal battle going on. There's a lot happening. Davidson might finally get clear. This is the battle for the 3rd spot. Williams, Whitlock, car in the wall. That is a lap car that may have been Carson Waller's. It was. Carson Waller's grabbed the wall just a little bit as Moody had successfully run down Whitlock and now finds Davidson at his inside. Davidson able to clear Halterman. Able to clear Halterman and set his sights on Lucas Moody as Whitlock to the inside of Stockner, trying to maintain that position. 10 laps to go here at Iowa. The battle for the lead opened up to 4 seconds for William. Right here, it's maybe 4 inches. Stockner sitting in 3rd. There's Drew Williams. No cars around him. Got to be a great sight for the 123. As chaotic as it's been back in the pack, Williams should be able to drive it away for his first points-paying win of the season. Muhammad Ali 4 seconds back of Williams, but 2 seconds ahead of Stockner. So Ali pretty solidly setting himself up for a good points day as well. Nick Stockner fighting for his life, just ahead of Moody and just ahead of Davidson. Ryan Whitlock, the only car on the bottom, but he's got the shorter way around 3 and 4. No momentum there for Whitlock. The position goes to Moody, and now the 81 finds the 2 of Davidson at his outside. Whitlock pushed really hard at the beginning of the run. Moody nearly gets into the wall. Stockner ran in just about out of room. But Lucas Moody stays in the throttle and stays at the outside of Whitlock and right at the bumper of Nick Stockner. Stockner led most of this race. He's going to be kicking himself if he doesn't come out of this one with at least a top 5. Now he finds Ryan Whitlock at his inside. Great set of corners for the 81. A little bit of a push from Moody to Stockner. And that's going to allow the 124, looks like, to be clear down the front straightaway. Moody nearly tags the wall again just a little bit. But that's just how close it is, how hard he's willing to push. Tucked right in behind the 124. I have to believe he thinks that he's faster than the cars ahead, but he can't find a way around. He's blocked in a little bit. Now he goes all the way to the bottom, pulls the elevator, 3 wide. Moody to the bottom, slides that car. It's going to be a slide job all the way up to the top. Stockner grabbed the wall just a little bit. Lucas Moody to 3rd, 3 wide again. That's CiL Davidson at the inside, but he can't quite get in the throttle, and he spins Whitlock. Whitlock around. Damage to Davidson, and the caution is out with 3 laps to go. And what a turn of events. Huge disappointment for Ryan Whitlock, my man from the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Going to get another look at that here. So Lucas Moody pulled an absolute elevator on them, went from floor 3 to floor 1 in a hurry. Slide job clear on exit. That upset Nick Stockner. Whitlock gave him plenty of room to run, but that gave a run to CiL Davidson. CiL Davidson committed to the bottom, committed to the throttle, and committed to the left rear wheel of the 81 of Ryan Whitlock. That car has been destroyed, and if I had to guess, Whitlock is just going to drag it around and put the car in pit road. It was a phenomenal run for Ryan Whitlock. Spent most of the race inside the top 5, having a phenomenal battle. But Whitlock, that car is destroyed. Now, he was back to 12th as the last car on the lead lap. So we'll see if he takes his fast repair here. He may save it for the second race. We'll see. but I don't believe we will have some sort of green-white checker finish. I think this race will just under yellow, and Ryan Whitlock has taken his fast repair. So thinking that this race is going to go green with just one lap to go, sitting under yellow. So we'll see. This is a little bit of either a mistake or a strategy call from Whitlock, yet to be determined. The other car that I'd be curious to take a look at is the 2 of CiL Davidson. That car might have a little bit of damage on the right front. White flag in the air for Drew Williams, followed closely by R. Muhammad Alif. Lucas Moody and Nick Stockner escape the battle for P3 and P4. CiL Davidson will round out the top 5 for the very end of race number 1 here in the CiL Iowa doubleheader. Davidson committed to the bottom and just ran out of grip. But that's the race, and he's going to be rewarded for it. He gets a top 5, and Whitlock gets sent all the way back to 12th. There is your current race leader, and I believe it'll be race winner for the first time this season, our 3rd different winner on an oval from Clemson University. Drew Williams is going to take the checkered flag here at Iowa. And he does it in honestly dominating fashion. This final result does not show just how far Williams was ahead of Alif. As soon as he got clean air, he absolutely stomped the field, drove off to, at times, nearly a 5-second lead. It was a phenomenal win from Drew Williams, and it looks to me like he's going to send this car all the way back to the start-finish line and do some burnout. So don't go anywhere. Just because we saw a fantastic battle and a great win from Mr. Drew Williams, we still got one more race to go. We get to do all of that again. Another 125 laps coming your way here from Iowa. You saw that timer at the top of your screen, just about 9 minutes and 30 seconds. And then we're going to rack them up and do them all over again. Nick Stockner will get another chance to try to win the race from the pole. Drew Williams will have an opportunity to complete a sweep and become just the 3rd multi-time winner on the season. But we got about 9 minutes or so, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at results real quick. Here it is. Drew Williams wins the first race here at Iowa, just ahead of R. Muhammad Alif and Lucas Moody. Nick Stockner comes 4th. CiL Davidson rounds out the top 5. Clint Halterman able to work his way from 10th to 6th for UNC Charlotte. Following him, Wyatt Burton, P7 from Trine University. Thomas Crump drives up into the 8th spot there at the end for Clemson. Just behind him, Jason Wallet in 76 and Jake Cummings for Converse round out the top 10. Keegan Kallick from St. Clair and Ryan Whitlock from UAH round out your lead lap cars. Kallick 11th, Whitlock 12th, then Alex Finity 1 lap down. Marlo Duncan a lap down as well. Ricky Paz, I believe they won a little bit of an alternate strategy that did not work for them, 13th or 15th. Nick Henley from Ball State 16th. Joseph Gradalva from Purdue 17th. Dylan Beatty from Ball State after that huge crash winds up 18th. Right behind him, Ben Fiore involved in that crash as well from Marist. Andrew Voigt from Penn State rounds out your top 20. Riley Birkins winds up 21st. Aiken Lamar 22nd. Carson Wallers drops back to 23rd. Andrew Burrell 21st. Adrian Tubakovic 25th. Jacob Dick 26th. And Alex Hallinar, and I believe his first race of the season, brings it home 27th, crashing out very early in this one. But I believe that all of these drivers will be set to compete in the next event, which should be set to get going in just about 6 minutes or so. Before that gets started, we do have the opportunity to interview your Race 1 winner, Drew Williams. Welcome to the booth. Congratulations, first win of the season. How are you feeling?
Dude, I'm so thrilled, man. I've been running this league as a driver and as an admin for about 3 years now, and I have managed to avoid winning a race during our like main fall and spring seasons. So I'm so happy to finally get it done.
We saw you pull away by about 4 seconds there, so it wasn't super close at the end, but it was the move on a leaf that happened maybe about with 10 to go. What was your strategy there? Did you save a little bit of tires? Did you have that move planned out? What's going through your head while you know that you're making a move that might be for the win?
Yeah, so of course it definitely kept in mind the fact that we were we got a race 2 tonight. We need to finish well, so I didn't want to kill him, didn't want to kill me. I've battled a Leaf a lot in every series CiL has, so I kind of know how he drives, and I felt like I had a really good opportunity of running high in one corner and then kind of cutting down on the front stretch and getting the big run to finally pass him on the bottom.
Well, it was a fantastic move. Before you go, a couple last things. Number one, what do you think we're going to see in race number 2? Do you think it's going to be more of the same?
I think it will be more of the same. I think we're going to get some big long runs because everyone's they got their cars dialed in at this point. Everybody kind of knows how the track is driving, what the conditions are like. So this should be a pretty long run here, maybe even a green flag stop. But of course, since everyone's a lot more comfortable, we might get some more aggression now because everyone had in their mind, hey, we got 2 races tonight. I got to play it smart. Now they got nothing else to wait for. It's time to go.
All right. Well, we give you an opportunity to do your shout outs now if you want to do them, or if you think you'll be back up in the booth later, double or nothing.
You know what? I don't want to take anything for granted. I don't find myself in the FC booth remarkably often, so I'll go ahead and take it now to give a huge thanks to all my Orange Oil Racing guys. Y'all have been running for years with me at this point, most of you, and I'm just so happy that we were able to stick together and keep grinding out these races. Pick up 2 wins at Iowa this week so far. We're 2 for 2, so maybe as a team we can get all 3. That would be pretty special.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Best of luck in race number 2. We'll be keeping an eye on you.
All right. Thank you.
And that was Drew Williams, your race 1 winner. We'll go ahead, and we have another commentator joining us in the booth. Thankfully, my voice was starting to die a little bit there. Jackson Lambros was with us last week. Jackson, you got us?
I got you, gentlemen. How we doing?
We're doing fantastic. We just witnessed a great race number 1. So glad you could join us for race number 2 with some fantastic stuff, and we're looking forward to having you up in the booth with us tonight. We have, as it stands now, just about 4 minutes until we'll be gridding up for race number 2. So were you able to catch that last race?
I was gonna make a joke, Cade, because I made my karting commentary debut, and I could have made a joke about saying I know 9-year-olds that race better than these guys. But, I mean, there was no disappointment for anything on track when it came to the finish. Obviously, I know your UAH guys are maybe looking for a little bit better of a result there in race 1. But, man, the side-by-side action lap after lap there with less than 25 on the clock. I'm going to be real disappointed if this is not a carbon copy of that, because I feel like I'm missing out. So, excited to get started, excited to see what race 2 has in store.
Alrighty, as we said, we're counting down that clock until that race gets going. Once again, I believe the starting order will be the same as race number 1, so it'll be Nick Stockner and Drew Williams leading us to the green. We saw an absolutely chaotic drop of the green the first time around, and I'm inclined to believe that we're going to see that again. So, Jackson, from the drop of the green, restarts are squirrely. They're really difficult in this car. The track's going to be hot, going to be rubbered up. Yeah. Wouldn't shock me at all if we see a crash on the very first lap again.
I think it's knowing what eagerness is required to get yourself to the front of the field. You can run side by side and lap after lap. We saw that at the finish. But if you've got that outside line, you're the Great Wall, dude. It's hard for you to carry that momentum on the inside and get past. I feel like this might be, with that being said, I think this might be Muhammad Alif's chance to get that first oval win of the season. He's got pace. He got kind of thrown to the wolves there at the end by his Clemson competitors, but I think there's a really, really good opportunity for him to get another win for Ball State this year for race 2.
I think that's a great point. Able to have a great points day in race number 1, but if he can do one spot better, it would be all the more improvement. Another guy that I want to keep my eye on is Lucas Moody. He starts back in the 9th position, but he was able to drive his way all the way up to 3rd, showing you that you can gain some track position and you can do it by being aggressive. So Lucas Moody, another guy that I'm going to watch. I'm going to take him as my pick for this race. I know I picked Cale Davidson, but then Davidson went out and kind of dumped my guys, so I'm going to have to switch it up and go with Davidson's teammate, the number 13, Lucas Moody. I've been told that I look like Lucas Moody. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but
you gotta get him up here in the booth for driver.
We'll have to get a camera on Lucas Moody. I don't know.
We do.
But I'll take Lucas Moody. Jackson, who you got?
I'm gonna say Muhammad Alif, man. I mean, look, it was a really good battle between him and Williams for the last one. Obviously, that kind of diluted in the last couple of laps just because everybody was so things out. But if he can really start on the right foot here and maintain that lead like we've seen on the squiggles, I'm really liking his odds of getting an oval win.
Our Muhammad Alif set to roll off for this one from the outside of row number 2, I believe. And I'm checking that, and that should be correct. Well, we did have some issues with the race. We weren't exactly sure if we were going to invert the field or not, so we'll see what happens there, but I believe it'll be the same starting order as the first time. So yes, Alif would roll off in P4 if that is the case. But we'll have to see here. I'm looking at lap times, and the lap times have come down quite a bit. There's a little bit of a practice session going on right now in between these races. So that makes me believe that the track has rubbered up a little bit, it's gotten a little bit hotter, and it's lost grip. Jackson, we saw how sketchy the cars were on the exit of turn number 2, and now that's going to be multiplied even more.
Again, it's just going to multiply that level of aggression here as I'm finally getting, I think my ninja is here if you guys want to get my mug for the last couple seconds here as we get going to green. I don't want to throw Lee Kane under the bus here, but no, man, I think we just got so much grip, so we're going to have to see how this unfolds.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and go trackside for race number 2, another 125 laps around this 7/8 mile oval in Iowa. If you're just now joining us, this is about the time that we typically started. We've already got an entire race underway. It was fantastic. Go back to the replay and watch that. And to make sure that you don't miss one again, go ahead, like this video and subscribe to the CiL YouTube channel. This is where all of our videos are going to be posted. All of our live streams are going to happen here. Every Wednesday, we've got Formula College action. Every Monday, we have action from the Garage Shop College Cup Series. One Thursday a month, we race our sports car series. That series still has a race left here in Season 12. So plenty of action going on. Subscribe to our channel. It helps out the league a lot. And if you want to get involved, you want to do anything with the league, I believe all of our socials are down there in the description. So check us out. We've got some great content being pushed out on our other platforms as well. In addition to that, we are keeping an eye on the in-race chat feature here on this YouTube stream. I see some good lucks to Wyatt, Joseph Berjalva, Nick Stockner. I believe that's Brandon Schulenberger. Schulenberger had a really good run here at Iowa on Monday. So glad that you are watching with us, Brandon. But if you want a driver or team specific shout out, go ahead and leave them a message in that chat and we'll see if we can get around to them.
So again, 7/8 of a mile here, although it races like we're doing this at Daytona. The banking and gripcade that this offers gives us a very unique flavor of IndyCar short track racing. Almost one of the few short ovals that you can run flat out, but as we've heard from Marlo and our drivers earlier on, it really doesn't race like an easy one.
No, it's not easy at all. And excuse me, we looked earlier in the race, 14 degrees of banking might not sound like a lot when you compare 14 to, I don't know, say 90, but 14 degrees winds up being a lot when you are in this car. We've done some onboards and you can just see how much that car picks up and rotates as it hits the banking. Look at that. That's on the straightaway.
Yeah.
And that car is still pretty skewed. So, and you know what more banking means? More banking means more grip and more opportunity to carry speed. There's some sort of physics you can do, some sort of centripetal acceleration or something. If you're in a high school physics class,
We'll
I'm
just
sure
say
you,
it's fast. It's really,
it's really fast.
and you've got a lot of opportunities to stick your car where the sun doesn't shine. But it is Drew Williams and R. Muhammad Alif on the front row for race 2, and we are under green and in session for the second half here at Iowa. Good start from Williams. Arrowheads the 2 here. Malif in line right now. Big shot to the inside though from Hallerman and Davidson. Almost 3 wide further back as we've got some moves early on for the lead.
And that's Lucas Moody diving to the inside of Drew Williams. Muhammad Alif didn't get a great run off the corner. Opened the door for these two. Moody maybe was going to try the slide job. Thought better of it. Shot to the outside. Now his teammate looks to the inside. And Muhammad Alif going to be clear in turn 3.
Muhammad Alif, Moody in lockstep with one another. A little bit of 2 wide further back. Now everyone checks up and goes in line. Williams leads Muhammad Alif, leads Moody, leads Halterman. A couple of shakeups way further back as everyone's scrounging for points and top 10 results right now. A little bit of fanning out further behind. We saw it earlier, Cade. It's possible to get past through the low line, but you need so much momentum. As we're watching that opportunity right now as Davidson tries to clear Burton on the low side. Can't do it, gets back in line.
Davidson, before the moment, going to hang on to a top 5 spot. Now trying to get a run on Halterman. Looks like he might have had it. He's going to try to nose that car onto the outside, trying to use that upper groove as a little bit of a passing lane. He might be able to get there on exit. Halterman's going to give it to him. That's Davidson with Burton in tow, looking on the outside of the UNC Charlotte machine.
Absolute reverse of what we want to see happen when you're defending. We saw it really, really well done between those two in the tail end of race 1. If you hold it down to the outside, it feels so counterintuitive because it opens the door to that shorter radius line, but you have to ask so much more energy from the car to jam it up the inside, and that very rarely is it done. Caution's out. We'll see if we can get a camera on why specifically, but that will freeze the field, bring the safety truck out. Williams leads still over R. Muhammad Alif. Not entirely sure why we brought that out. There's your answer. In our rearview mirrors, we've got one car up in the wall.
And I believe that is Marlo Duncan from the Milwaukee School of Engineering.
Oh, no.
He was up here in the booth with us. No. Oh.
Alex Finnerty.
Now, I'm glad that is not
I think
Marlo.
he was a post-caution incident. We watched him back it up into the ball. There it is.
That's Jason Wallet.
Is that
I believe
Marlo?
that is Jason Wallet in the 76 from Drexel. Absolutely tears the rear end off of that car. And then something happens to Finity as everybody checks up. There's Wallet and the damage done.
Just like maybe a little bit of contact there.
Yeah.
Just a smidge of wheel on wheel, and that's all it takes to send one car just sailing into that outside safer barrier. It's a good run. Back in line, got a little bit of a peek to the inside, yeah. Far from intentional.
And boys, you know who that was?
Either have wanted that to end.
And that was Marlo Duncan, who was up here in the booth with us last week. I knew he was involved somehow. And it looks to me like he gets very aggressive. He's going to look to the inside now. I think he thinks that he has a car right down underneath him. Marlo decides to stay in the throttle on about lap 4.
I think it's just misjudging the distance here. You said it earlier, Kane, game of inches, and just thought he had him cleared. Had a little bit of a peek to the inside, but just too little too late. It's hard to say if that even looks like contact, but I think just barely ramped that back left Firestone up. Just enough to send that 76 around.
And the incident with Finnerty was separate from this. Duncan got slowed down a lot to try to avoid the incident and cars checking up ahead of him. Finnerty got heavy on the brakes to avoid the 84 well after the yellow had already come out. And that's when the 321 car went around. And so that sends Finnerty way to the back. And Wallet, I believe, still has a fast repair. He was able to have a clean race number 1 and finish inside the top 10. So Wallet should be able to get that car repaired. But unfortunately, that may stick him a couple laps down. I believe he was actually able to drive it back to pit road and take the fast repair, so didn't have to spend time towing. And Wallet will stay on the lead lap, although he will restart shotgun on the field.
If I'm R. Muhammad Alif, I'm just seeing this as another opportunity to snatch that lead from Cade Williams, put Moody, Davidson, and Burton in my rearview mirrors, and try to do everything I can. That P1 spot is such a premium in terms of clean air. And it's still, again, you can run side by side forever, but that opportunity to actually get a move done is very, very difficult. There's no such thing as getting the job done in one corner. So we'll see what R. Muhammad Alif can do to bring this fight to the 123.
You are absolutely right about that. Every single pass that we have seen thus far has been set up laps in advance. The pace truck pulls off once again, 115 to go here in Iowa. And once again, we are green flag racing. It's Drew Williams leading R. Muhammad Alif off into turn 1.
Good separation from the two. I'm seeing some good momentum, a little bit of a look to the inside from Alif, but gets by further back. I think that's Crump and Cummings. Yes, it is. As Cummings clears the 016 for 9th. Now it's Burton to the inside of Cale Davidson, side by side in return number 1. Here comes R. Muhammad Alif.
R. Muhammad Alif, great momentum to the inside, but Williams going to use that top lane to stay right there, trying to go 2-4-2. I think he knows you can't win it on lap 12, but he certainly wants to keep the clean air if he can. We saw how advantageous that was in race number 1. Williams going to do everything he can to try to keep it as they fight for turns 1 and 2.
Again, great defense from Williams. I think he saw what was going on in rearview mirrors in that closing battle for race number 1. As a little bit of a shimmy there, it looked like, from Moody as he tries to now get to the rear wing of R. Muhammad Alif. First, second, and third, almost a little bit of a breakaway now as Moody with a good run might potentially see a move here. Muhammad Alif with a little bit of a look to the inside. Fanning out is Burton, trying to find anywhere he can put the 2-6 to close it to Cale Davidson. 4-car breakaway here with 15 laps in.
You've got to be really careful, though, if you are R. Muhammad Alif. If you make a move to the inside, that just opens up the top and could let the 13 and the 2 slide into that position and take advantage of you in the next corner. So you have to time your moves. Alif right now still within striking distance of Williams, but he's got to strike at the proper time. Right now, with Lucas Moody right in his tailpipes, might not be the opportunity to do that.
I'm sticking to the top if I'm Muhammad Alif. I know how hard it is to make that pass done on the inside. And you combine that with that little bit of extra draft I've got from Williams in front of me. I'm going to be borderline invincible if I can find that perfect balance of straight line through the draft and solid grip and just peeking out a little bit in the corners and getting that good balance of grip in straight line. As I say that, though, Davidson all over the gearbox of Moody, trying to get that 2-car by.
One other thing we do have to consider is tires. Running that outside lane will hurt your tires just a little bit more. You see Davidson going to take a nice arc there, never quite gets down to the yellow line. Just shows that he is trying to get that momentum. Hits the chip in 5th gear as he goes down the straightaway, then downshifts into 4th. Gets just a little bit of rotation, and the caution is out.
Yeah, this isn't a track of apexes and hitting your marks. You treat every lap so differently. Andrew Burrell in the wall. Oh my goodness, that seemed to happen after the yellow, though. Absolutely. Who flipped him on the inside there? Side pod to side pod. Just another slight nudge wheel to wheel there. I'm not sure if he already got his quick fix out of the way, Kane, but the good news is that wheel is still where it ought to be. And this might be our incident. Nope. As well. This isn't, I believe this is the post-yellow incident. But just front wing is gone. All the wheels seem to still be where they need to be. Not too much time lost there if you want to save your quick repair.
Yeah, I do want to stand corrected on a couple of things. there is a fast repair reset between the two races. Earlier, I was treating it as if there was one for both. A little bit of a late game rule change, or maybe just a misunderstanding of the rules. But you do have one fast repair for this race, regardless of what happened last time. Right. So Ryan Whitlock using his fast repair at the end of the last race will not impact this one. There is Whitlock in the 6th position. Another thing that I was wrong about, your finishing position of race 1 is your starting position for race 2. Another bit of a late change there to not make the starting spot the same for both races. So qualifying impacting the first race, but they started this second race. You saw Drew Williams and Muhammad Alif on the front row, which is why they are running up front. Moody able to hang on to the 3rd spot after finishing the previous race in 3rd, because that's where he started this one. So everybody on the same lap, but finishing position of the previous race determined where they gridded up for this one. So I apologize for that, but that does mean that Andrew Burrell has a fast repair, and he'll likely use it here with 100 laps to go. He's got all the time in the world to try to work his way through the field. And that green car there, Alex Hallinar, was devastated in the first race. Had to start this one from the tail. And he is back here in 27th once again. So Hallinar hoping for much better things here in race number 2.
Not the worst placed to start from the back of the field. Again, so many opportunities for you to be on the hard charge forward. If you've got a fast car, you certainly have some real estate to work your way forward. Want to thank everybody for watching. For free coverage of the Collegiate iRacing League, want to remind you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can continue bringing this to you for free. Again, we are college students. Cardboard is edible and sustainable, but just that little bit of interaction with our videos gives us the preferred alternative. So lights are out on that Chevy Silverado pace truck. Cade Williams going to lead us back to green for the now the 3rd green stint. And it will be all eyes on Muhammad Alif, Moody, and Davidson to see what they can do to bring the fight to this leader.
And another thing that we do want to keep an eye on is drivers who pitted. Came in around lap 20. We'll restart with around 100 to go. There was a chunk of them on pit road. Back here, Adrian Tubakovic looks to be the last car that stayed out. Those names flashing on your screen, drivers that pitted: Nick Stockner, Ricky Paz, Jake Cummings, Ben Fiore, Marlo Duncan, Aiken Lamar. All of these drivers were on pit road, so they'll be on fresh rubber. It'll take a bit for those tires to come up to temperature, but once they do, those cars might be just a little bit faster. As we are going to go green racing once again, Drew Williams, Muhammad Ali, take the green flag it up. As
some guys trying to make those early moves, get to it, and start cutting through the field as quickly as possible. 6-car breakaway here with Whitlock separating early from Crump. And what can we see with some movement? A little bit of eagerness from Burton in the 26. Wrong guy. Little bit of eagerness there as Wyatt tries to get away around Alif with a little bit of a look to the outside. As we almost see some 2x2 racing. Now officially a 5th into race 2 here at Iowa. Purple lap goes to Muhammad Alif. Now it goes to Duncan in the 54.
There is points on the line for fastest lap as well. A little bit of a look for the lead for Muhammad Alif. Once again, got that front wing underneath Drew Williams. Wasn't able to keep it there to slide back up in line, and now he is running the middle groove, trying to maintain his momentum, see if he can't get any closer to the 123. Right there, hits the yellow line early, exits just a little bit higher, but the gap stays at about 2 car lengths.
You've got so many different lines, so many options to attack and defend, and with these dynamic levels of grip we've been talking about, you've got so many different options. That changes being the preferred way to do things. Another interesting thing here, we haven't had a long enough green flag stint for lap traffic to be a factor. It's hard for me to really say what that will be like when everyone is so packed up all around. You know, this isn't like not quite like a Phoenix or a Milwaukee and how it races. But once we start seeing some blue flag traffic, that's absolutely going to be a shakeup and probably the key where we're going to see some lead changes if it's not.
And we saw that play a factor in race number 1, so I have to imagine that if we catch lap traffic, it'll happen here again in race number 2. Mentioned earlier, Marlo Duncan had that fastest lap up to P9. He is on fresh tires and pushing hard with Nick Henley in tow. Both those cars were on pit road last time by. There is Duncan from the Milwaukee School of Engineering. There he is. Looks like he's got that right front wing fixed up just a little bit after that contact.
Solid intent, looking away by Clint Halterman, fires it to the outside. That's the spot where you want to be. Gets a little bit of help from Crump in that 015 to get a little bit of a tow. It actually dirties the air. And now it's kind of a reverse flying V formation between the two of them. Duncan has the pace. He's got no real estate to put it. Might try to fire it in the middle here for 3 wide. Here comes Henley in the 64, though, to make it a 4-car battle. Fires it to the inside. Battle for 10th is on. Oh, Marlo! Oh, man, commentator's curse gets him. Oh, Marlo, we're sorry. Oh, no.
And that is commentator's curse to another level. Last week, he was the commentator. And unfortunately, this week, he has sent it straight into the outside wall. Should be able to take a fast repair, but we'll wind you back in time and take another look at what happened. I think he just drove it in a little too deep, got very aggressive on the 016 of Thomas Crump, and that car gets on the seam, Jackson. That may have been ripped it right around.
Yeah, those little grooves in between those racing lines is all that it can take to upset the car, although I know Marlo is a guy that likes... I was talking to him before the race, I'm like, it's a flat-out corner. Like, it's a flat-out course. How is this an interesting place to drive at? And he's like, with the right setup, any place can be interesting to drive at, Jackson. But no, those little grooves in between the line are absolutely, it doesn't seem like a lot, but with just that little bit, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and you add in aero wash and other different factors, it's really, really easy to back it into the outside wall, and that's exactly what we just saw with Marlo Duncan, who's like sidestepping it now into the pit lane, trying to get this fast repair done.
And he is able to drive it back to the pit, so not having to take a tow should keep him on the lead lap. Jake Cummings, Adrian Tubakovic, a couple other cars that you can see there are in the pits. Not sure if that's a strategy call or what. But pitting here, lap 36, if you're Jake Cummings and you throw a Hail Mary, you may be able to run the race to this race if it goes green without coming into the pit. Something to keep an eye on. The 95 didn't get the result that he wanted in race 1, so trying something a little crazy here in race 2.
Weird strategies. I kind of want to put a pin in these guys that have all had to pit early for whatever reason, because we're already 3 cautions in. We really don't know what strategy is the right one with how things will sort out once we get into these fuel windows. We're getting close now, but obviously still no takers from our top 10 or even top 15 to come in unless they've had a need to. But again, this gives an advantage to Marlo, to Stockner, everybody else who's gotten themselves into trouble so far. They obviously can't do it again, but now they've got this little, I like to call it the Dale Coyne strat, where you're kind of throwing a Hail Mary and praying that a correct yellow might get you in the right spot. I know they've got their back against the wall, but a rightly timed yellow can so flip this race around for these guys.
But that yellow would have to come in a pretty small window. It would be my guess that everybody is going to pit somewhere around 70 or 80, and these guys would need the caution to come out right after that. So pretty small window. We'll see how that plays out, but that's pretty far in the future. For now, we've got a restart here. Drew Williams and Muhammad Alif have done that dance a couple of times. They're going to do it again. Every time Williams has gotten the upper hand, could this be the time that Alif makes his move?
I think there's a lot of reservation so far from Alif. He's obviously trying to get around, but Williams has spent so much more of those Firestones live trying to defend it. So when are we going to see that switch over on grip? Are we going to see that advantage go over to Muhammad Alif? How much longer can Cade defend, and are we going to see an opportunity for Moody, for Davidson, for Burton to get into that conversation as well. I just want to see some green flag. I want to see more than like 10 laps of green flag running here. Like once we get there, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how these how the life on these tires evolve as we get to our pit window. So should be some good racing ahead of us here, Cade.
There definitely should be. Whether we go green or see some more restarts, it'll be interesting either way. Williams goes late in the restart zone, but we are off and racing once again at Iowa.
Major check up further back there. That kind of checked up Ryan Whitlock and everybody sits further back as they kind of accordion further back. Look at this two-car breakaway for the lead already. Here comes our Muhammad Alif to the inside. It takes so much momentum, it might not be enough. Davidson and Moody trading for third further back, but it's all eyes on front. What can Drew Williams do to defend from our Muhammad Alif?
Got a really great run off the outside of the corner that time, able to have about a car length between them as they come out of fourth. You mentioned Davidson and Moody. Cale Davidson's taken the third spot. In clean air, fresh tires on the two-car. He has set the fastest lap of the race, and he is trying to hunt down these leaders. He's got about 4/10 of a second up to Alif. He's going to try to cut that gap down.
These are the big moments in the lead that you're taking a lot of life from these Firestones. Williams to the middle of the track to defend last time. Let's see what the move is. Our Muhammad Alif shoots it to the inside. The harder way to do it here at Iowa, especially with the lower grip, as we wait for this track to kind of rubber in towards the tail end of this second race. Goes back in line again. I'm thinking it's a game of patience here, Cade. Waiting for the right time to strike for our Muhammad Alif.
He'll have to pick his moments carefully. They are catching just a little bit of lap traffic, so he may be able to use that to his advantage. But for now, the gap stays at about 3 car lengths. Alif following Williams. Cale Davidson hasn't made up quite enough ground yet for it to make a difference, but he's put a huge gap on Lucas Moody, and Moody has fallen back into the clutches of Wyatt Burton.
Further back, Crump and Henley going at it, but it appears that the 016 has dropped back significantly. Here's our 3-car battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Big flip of the strip there as Henley holds to the outside. Thomas Crump in the 016, that orange machine, fires it to the inside. Back and forth we go, not just on track, but on position. And now Joseph Grjalva going to take that position from him as well.
And Grjalva slides up, Crump with the crossover. They're going to be side by side into one. Crump on the inside, Grjalva on the outside. Crump slides up just a little bit, and Grjalva grabs the position. We know Joseph Grjalva, good on ovals, crossed the line in third at Texas in that thrilling finish. Unfortunately, he and Riley Perkins there in the 11th spot were caught up in incidents in the first race, so we're not entirely sure what those cars can do. Now they're up towards the front, they're racing competitively. Now we're really going to see the best of the 47 and the 33.
Battle starts to dilute here in the top 10, but here comes Riley Perkins. He wants that 10th spot. He's going to try to find a place to put that 33 to get around. Crump can't find it here through the backstretch. Let's see.
Perkins coming off a career day at Iowa on Monday in the Cup Series, wants to do a few positions better to grab a top 10 here in the FC Series. Right now sitting 11th, just needs one more to meet that goal. But that position, Thomas Crump, teammate to the current leader of the race and winner of race 1. So I have to believe that Crump, another OWR driver, knows what he's doing.
Again, cool to see that kind of crossover between our Cup guys and the FC guys to actually run on the same course on the same week. Not every day, or not every week, shall I say, we get to see that happen. And again, comparing how the Cup cars drive to how the FC cars drive is such an apples to oranges comparison, but you get a good feel for the track. You know where you're going to have those little issue areas, especially in those, inner groove rivets that we saw check up so many drivers in race 1 and now in race 2. So a lot of things you can learn for FC from the wheel of a Cup car.
A lot of things you can learn, but also a lot of things that are significantly different. Number one being the lap times and the speeds. These cars a lot faster, 180 in the middle of the corner. Perkins to the inside of Crump. The 016 nearly grabs the wall, but he's able to maintain momentum and put about 2 car lengths back to the 33. The track is the same, but it drives quite a bit different, as we saw Perkins get a little bit sideways there. Grzyzalva has driven off from them in the tire tracks of Nick Henley. They've put down some really good laps, and they're catching the 100 of Clint Halterman.
A little bit of a wake-up call. I'll tell you what, in the last 20, 25 laps, these guys are going to be wishing they had the bumpers of the Cup cars and maybe get a little bit of help, a little bit of a push from their teammates to work themselves up to the front of the field. Granted, I think we saw some people get on the Paul Tracy chrome horn just a little bit in those final laps regardless, but that ability to kind of rub up against one another is what makes Iowa so special in the Cup Series and just adds to the 4D chess dimension of the racing that is IndyCar at Iowa.
So Ryan Whitlock get a little bit squirrely off turn 2. That still is Calamity Corner, the trouble spot that these guys have to be aware of down the front straightaway within a few car lengths of Burton. Wyatt Burton hanging on to the top 5. I think we expected a lot out of him in race 1. Didn't quite do it, but now we're going to see if he can capitalize in race 2, working through a little bit of lap traffic. This is what you were talking about earlier, Jackson, where as complex as this race is, it is going to come into play when you have one car taking up a lane.
It's already given Ryan Whitlock potentially an opportunity to get to Burton. Again, tries the outside. Now we're seeing the flip in the script for what lines work and what lines don't. Whitlock to the inside now. Actually gets a nose ahead. Is there enough momentum in the outside for Burton to swing back side by side down the backstretch? They nearly touch, and Ryan Whitlock gets a little bit of a slide, but gathers it back up to have another go at it.
I think he had a little bit of a flashback to race 1 there. Realized he didn't want to send that car sideways again. Backed out at the last moment, but that doesn't mean he's done. He's going to have another shot at Burton here. Give it a couple laps, cool the tires down, run the high lane. Should be able to get up to the bumper of the 26. Question is, once he get there, what does he do?
We had this conversation at Atlanta, at Road Atlanta last week, okay, but I think you've also got to ask, is this the right time to battle? Because as these two are throwing haymakers at each other, if either of them look at their mirror right now, this is letting Clint Halterman in 7th slowly chip away and maybe trying to turn this into a 3-car battle. It's about not making expensive mistakes. If you can, maybe just putting it on the gearbox of the guy in front of you. See if maybe you can work together. Not a lot of companionship between these two on track right now.
And I think you really put it on the money. Expensive mistakes, very important to avoid, especially as we're only at the halfway mark of this race. But Whitlock, here he goes. He had a run. He decided to take it to the bottom. Took him a couple laps to wind it up, but he runs the inside of 3 and 4. Nothing there. Burton beats him off the top. Still P6 for Ryan Whitlock.
Traffic is going to be another little bit of a factor in major separation here, but just ahead, Moody and Davidson going at it as well as they try to battle for that bottom spot of the podium. Little bit of a wiggle there from Burton, I believe, as they're trying to get around, and now it's a 3-car battle for 3rd.
And they have run down Lucas Moody as well, put 4 cars under a blanket. That's Moody, Davidson, Burton, and Whitlock all right together. Lucas Moody was behind the 2, able to capitalize and get around. I think we saw this last race where Moody saved his tires a little bit, and as the run went on, he was able to put the hammer down and drive up to the 3rd spot. Now he gets to start this run in 4th and begin his charge forward from there. 3 seconds off the lead. Lucas Moody starting to drive away a little bit, and as they get side by side behind him, that's exactly what he wants to see, as it's going to allow him to just drive away.
Carbon copy of the battle we saw at the conclusion of race 1. Granted, it's a couple spots back and a little bit earlier now, as we almost had some 4x4 racing. That pack starts to spread out just a little bit once more, but again, that lap traffic becoming a major factor in how these battles are being determined. Burton and Moody looking incredibly racy further up ahead, but lap traffic, as I mentioned, being a major factor. And as we get to our pit window here, we've got another big what if coming into play here.
That's exactly right. We estimated as
CiL
Davidson.
I'm not sure if that was a lost control while getting into the pits or that was intentional. And oh my goodness, I think that was. Yep, already on the apron, missed his marks. instantly grabbed reverse and was able to get it going again. Nearly hit the inside retaining wall of the pit lane while trying to get it back running, but oh my goodness, we again, those big factors, that's got to be a handful of position lost through that little mistake there as we ride on board with CiL.
And
Gonna
this
just
is
lock
the
up that
second
outside.
time.
Yep.
Sorry, this is the second time in these two races that we have seen somebody miss pit road. Just gives the look at the working the wheel there, but it gives an idea of how much of a challenge it is to get on and off pit road for this track. Able to save it, and honestly, really quick thinking there. Usually in that position, you miss pit road, you just hammer down, suck it up, and take another lap.
Right.
But I think it's actually the least amount of loss for the driver of the two to just throw it in reverse and get on pit road. Certainly going to lose him time. But he's trying that undercut strategy, Jackson, which means I think the fuel window is open.
Undercut is risky here because usually you do that in mind with, you know, knowing you're going to potentially get clean air or help from somebody else. Again, I don't think there's a lot of friends and a lot of places you can find clean air in this 7/8 mile track. But again, we've seen the advantage of the fresh tires earlier on, so we'll have to see how that goes for Cade. That gap, by the way, between Williams and Muhammad Alif was as big as a second at lap 60. Muhammad Alif has turned on the afterburner, closed that to within half a second. So what's going to be really interesting here, Cade, is to see how that first and second place reacts to one another for when they come to pit road. Watching Wyatt Burton right now, a little bit of an island he's on right now. Halterman still noticeably far behind him. And then that two-car battle between Moody and Burton not too far ahead now as he's starting to close that gap.
And I think you talk about those afterburners. That's really just saved tires kicking in. Certainly Alif putting in some great laps, and he's going to have an incentive to here if he knows that he's going to change 4 tires in a few laps. Might as well burn him while you got him, as it looks like Drew Williams is in some pretty heavy lap traffic. Another factor that's allowing not only Alif to close in, but Lucas Moody to close in as well. Moody has worked that gap down from 3 seconds to 1.5. If he can undercut by a couple laps, that should chop even more time off. So we'll just see Muhammad Alif had a look
around
to
the outside, I think,
there.
took the lead. Unless that was lap traffic, unless it
That
was,
is Nick
I'm going to be
Stockner
so
that
mad.
just lapped.
Oh my God, Clemson, you got to stop making all your cars look the same.
They
Yes,
look good though, and that's Stockner
They look
trying
so
the
good.
undercut. So he should be fast here. But they
Cade
should
Williams
be a
now,
little bit
yep.
quicker. Go ahead, Jackson.
Cade Williams actually using that lap traffic to his advantage. We know how good Muhammad Alif is kind of able to treat lap traffic like outrun and just weave through. As, oh, same issue there, I believe. A little bit of a lockup from Cade Williams as he tries the undercut on Muhammad Alif. Not nearly the same level of dramatics that we saw from Cale Davidson, but definitely some time lost as doesn't get it all the way down to the apron, certainly outside of that yellow line. I'm not sure if that's a legal move, but we'll have to see if there's any reaction to that pit entry. Muhammad Alif, big chunk there, gets up, actually lost his front left element of his wing there as there's some more drama. And that's going to be the meatball for the 12. Oh my goodness, more drama here as we get to our pit window.
And that's going to be race over for Muhammad Alif. He'll be able to continue with the fast repair, but taken out of contention as, Drew Williams tries to get to pit road, and that hands the lead over now to Clint Halterman as Lucas Moody has made his green flag pit stop. Wyatt Burton moves up to second. Ryan Whitlock, look at this, 3 wide. Here's Drew Williams trying to unlap himself. He's got 4 fresh Firestone tires right now running right behind Burton. And oh, the caution is out, and this kills everyone who tried the undercut.
My goodness. So again, for those who stayed out, Joseph Krzyzolva, oh my goodness. On pit exit, loses it under power. These guys making well north of 500 horsepower in a car that weighs well less than a smart car. And on cold Firestone Firehawks, I think just was not anticipating that jump off of the limiter. I'm gonna have to go back and do one more stop in the box to get that sorted. Though I do not believe, once again, I feel like this is the aftershock incident. I don't think that was the reason why we had the yellow brought out initially. But oh my goodness, Drew Williams now all the way back in 21st. I believe now third as they cross the stripe once again. Should see how this sorts out. Muhammad Alif has the front wing back on, I believe. I'm not sure. This is the safety car checked up for the leader or the first guy on track. Our timing is still telling us Clint Halterman, but we have a lot of takers to pit row right now. There's your provisional leader, Clint. As it goes now, being told King Calic has the lead now. I'm not sure if he's pitted.
So there were plenty of drivers on the lead lap who came down and pitted, but they were behind the lap down car. So while we get this sorted out, we're going to go ahead and do an interview. We have Marlo Duncan here. We just saw Marlo Duncan. Marlo, man, we saw you lose it. We had you up in the booth here last week. What happened out there?
Yeah, I hit a bump in turn 3 and it just shot me around up the track, and once we got back down to pit road, iRacing plugged out and wouldn't let us use the faster pair, so we just kind of got stuck there.
Marlo, it's Jackson Lambros. We talk so much about the commentator's curse up here in the box, and not only does that justify our job when we talk about how awesome someone is and they mess up, and I'm not trying to throw smoke at you, but I think this kind of justifies your spot as both a driver and a commentator. Does this feel like there's any form of validation?
I mean, it does feel good to get commentator's curse for once. I usually fly under the radar and don't really get seen, so it's nice to get at least something thrown my way, but commentator's curse is never good, though.
I don't want to totally put the blame on us, but we will throw a provisional we're sorry from myself and Cade as we get set to go back to it. It is Muhammad Alif who will lead the field. Still no lights off on the safety truck yet, excuse me. But Muhammad Alif in this weird kind of reshuffle of the field still technically has the lead of the pack. He'll get the wave by now. And we'll start from the back of the field as everybody a lap down. Cale Davidson, Drew Williams, and others will work their way around to the back of the pack. Even though they're a lap down here, gents, there's been a major reshuffle between those three.
So here's what's happened is there were a lot of cars that pitted under green and lost one lap. The leader at the time of the caution was Clint Halterman. So all of the cars that were a lap down behind Clint Halterman, he pitted. The lap down cars then became ahead of him, and they have now moved back up around the pace truck, and they've caught on the lead lap. Keegan Calic stayed out, which traps Lucas Moody and Nick Henley. Andrew Williams one lap down, which means Keegan Calic is your leader. So Calic is going to lead us to the green. He stays out under that caution, takes the lead, and it's Keegan Calic from St. Clair College, a gutsy call to trap a few cars a lap down. So those cars immediately between him and there's a car around the back, I believe. That's Wyatt Burton, Andrew Burrell involved.
Numerous cars collected, at least 3. And I think that was contact initiated. Andrew Bueller, Andrew Voigt, the big kahuna on the exit of turn 2. Oh my goodness.
Not Wyatt Burton, that was Cale Davidson, my apologies. But Dylan Beatty, it looks like, got to his inside, and then that car goes right around and nowhere for Burrell to go. No, there was contact with Burton, rips the rear wing off the 26 car. And that might be day over for Cale Davidson, who looked very competitive.
So good. One of the guys that brought the battle to Muhammad Alif there at the throw of the yellow here, that kind of started this whole domino effect, and you know, once he cleared him, you could have questioned whether or not he was able to bring the fight to Williams and others. But oh my goodness, he had so many issues, unfortunately, at Atlanta last week, and unfortunately, it's going to continue here into Iowa.
So this will allow Keegan Kallick to keep the lead. I'm not sure exactly how much fuel is in that 29 car, but if he is maximum saving, he may be able to stretch this one at least a few more laps. Don't know if he can get all the way to the end. But as it stands, Keegan Kallick, your leader, has kept a few very competitive cars a lap down. And those cars, namely Lucas Moody and Nick Henley, are between Kallick and Halterman, which is the first battle for position. Ricky Potts, Aiken Lamar, Alex Hallinar, Dylan Beatty, Jason Wallet, all those cars you see there on the lead lap. Burton's still on the lead lap for now, although I believe he has to repair. Yeah, so Keegan Kallick, we mentioned it earlier, he was on pit road with Nick Stockner and Jake Cummings. Cummings and Stockner have since come into pit. And so those cars are not only on fresh tires, but they are on the lead lap. Keegan Kallick pitting on 36 is about 90 laps to go. Fuel window, we thought maybe 80 might be the max. Marlo, I think if you're still up here, what was the fuel window looking like in the car?
I mean, towards that beginning part of the race, I wasn't really paying attention to fuel. I really just wanted to get right to the front and try and see if I could lead a couple laps there, because we had pace. We knew it in race 1. We just got trapped a lap down because we pitted the lap before that caution came out in race 1. So we ended up getting stuck 2 down there.
And if Lucas Moody can get around Keegan Kallick here and another caution comes out, that 13 car will get back on the lead lap. But yeah, really unfortunate what happened to you, Marlo. Really, we did not want to see it happen up here in the booth in either race. But it's going to be a big question mark to see if Kallick can make it to the end of this one. Well, Marlo, since you're out of the race, you're welcome to hang out with us up here. There's been a lot to talk about and a lot to go over. And it's gotten even more interesting and complicated with a restart set for 30 laps to go and a car that might not even have enough gas to make it to the end of the race. Cale Davidson's officially pitted and gone 5 laps down, so unfortunately the 2 out of the game, Ben Fiore and R. Muhammad Alif, along with Drew Williams, early contenders, stuck a lap down for the moment, and I don't know if there's a great way that they could get that lap back. So we'll see how this all plays out. Once again, Keegan Kallick, the rookie from St. Clair, leading his first laps of the season. He's going to bring us to the line, and we are green with 31 laps to go at Iowa.
Gives an opportunity for Paz in the 19 to get by. Let's see if we can actually have a clean opening lap here. Paz able to potentially get that momentum in and clear. As now we see Clint Halterman in the 100 try to get to work and clear all of this lap traffic in front. Pause in his mirrors.
Yeah, Halterman's going to have to get around these lap cars quickly. That's Nick Henley just in front of him, and then Nick Henley's Ball State teammate Lucas Moody immediately ahead of the 64. Halterman moved to the inside, not for position, but the longer that he stays behind these lap cars, the less time he has to catch Keegan Kallick. Assuming Kallick can go the distance, then this would be the battle for the win between the 29 and 100 cars.
So again, a weird reshuffle of the order due to this instant caution right after a caution. And the cautions breed cautions, as we say, and we've seen it a couple times. Although, again, if we run long enough here, 10, 15 laps, lap time, absolutely able to become a major factor in these reshuffles. Kallick, though, I think is going to be praying for these cautions to make this work. I don't know if he's going to be able to go all the way here, or if the rule book technically allows him to do it without stopping. But what a story it would be for this young man right here in the 29 when being told by Lee Kane in the producer box that there's no need for you to do it. Again, had an early pit compared to everybody else, but if you can do it, if you can make it, you can make it. But he's feeling the pressure right now, as we've got some cars with a head full of steam here, Cade, trying to unlap themselves.
Yeah, Clint Halterman's got around Nick Henley. Lucas Moody looking to the outside of Keegan Kallick. Kallick should just let him go here. No real reason to fight him with just under 20 laps to go. Kallick is on 50-lap older tires than Halterman, and Halterman rapidly closing that green car there. This is the battle for the lead. I'm looking on board with Keegan Kallick. He was running in 5th gear all the way around, not downshifting in the 4th, which hurt his lap time, but saved him a little bit of gas. Now Halterman to the inside.
We know how strong the outside line can be, though, as we're talking about it. But even with these old tires, with so little grip left, the amount of energy and momentum that's needed to sacrifice that flick to the inside, we're seeing that just how detrimental that can be, especially at the end of runs. But Clint Halterman just gets to the nose now. Still can't get it done.
I mean, one thing that I noticed, at least in race 1, is about 20 laps into the stint, the tires would start to go into this sort of graining phase, where they didn't really want to do anything for about 5 laps, and then they'd magically switch back on, which I think the field that hit under that last year might be starting to go through some of that.
Done deal. And Cade, it's a new leader. It's the 100 of Clint Halterman, as now Ricky Paz tries to get by, and Keegan Kallick has been thrown to the wolves as everybody tries to get by.
Yeah, Keegan Kallick, I think the grip finally just gave up, or he ran out of pace. Halterman has set sail, gone clear. Still a little dirty air for that 100 cars. He's behind the lap car, Lucas Moody, but Kallick has come under fire from Ricky Paz. Paz looks to the inside of Kallick, and if he can get this spot here, he'll have a chance to try to hunt down Halterman. About 17 laps for Ricky Paz right here. No, not clear. The lap car of Tubakovic gets out of the way, and now moving into this battle, how about Alex Hallinar? Finished 27th last race, started 27th in this one. Now Hallinar on the back bumper, on the back bumper of Kallick, and it looks like Ricky Paz is going to...
Hallinar to the inside. And where were you when Alex Hallinar went into second place? Maybe snatches the lead from Halterman. Big shakeup in the middle there as everybody looks for clean air to get a nose by.
Oh, and they're wrecking behind
Nick with some things out driving. Oh, trouble! Jason Wallet on his lid.
The 76 car has flipped upside down. For the second time today, we see a car on his roof, and he's doing a Casey Kane as that car winds up undercarriage, showing the belly to the fans. There was massive checkup in front of them. That looks like Aiken Lamar gets hard on the brakes, and Jason Wallet plays some X Games into the fence, and then hit again.
Santino Ferrucci a la Toronto move there, ramping off of, I believe, Aiken Lamar in the 94. And just as you said, Cade, kind of Tony Hawk. Already a broken
checkup in front of this wreck.
Yep, we saw those lunges to the inside here. That was the first domino effect. I think that's one of the Ball State cars. And oh my goodness, with nowhere to go, major hang time for Jason Wallet. Oh my goodness.
And that was Dylan Beatty that grabbed just a little bit of the outside wall. Aiken Lamar entered the corner and realized a moment too late he had no downforce. You saw Jason Wallet on the brakes and downshifting there to try to get that car slowed down. But yeah, that was Dylan Beatty in the 20. Beatty on pit road. Lucas Moody gets his lap back. Keegan Kallick has stayed out thus far, so we'll see what happens there. But trying to take a look at the strategy for this one, fantastic wreck. But boys, we still got 12 laps to go in the race.
This is where everybody puts their chips down. I'm very interested to see what Keegan Kallick does in response here, but it looks like he's got damage potentially to that front right. Or no, he's fine. I thought there was maybe a little bit of scuffs to the front left of his car, but no, he seems to be fine. And I think with this caution, I think that might clear him on fuel to go all the way here. But Halterman v. Hallinar, what are we going to see from those two? We've seen the pace from Clint all season long, but has been looking for a win. Hallinar absolutely an underdog in this battle, so we'll see who can end up on top here with just about 12 laps to go here at the line. And Ricky Paz still on that really, really fresh rubber. Or no, he pitted early, excuse me. So, I mean, realistically, last pit stop went to Calic, so he might have the advantage here now that we've got a chance to really gather ourselves up. I don't know if he took tires on that stop, but this could genuinely be Calic's to win.
And all of these stops that we saw from all of these drivers were 4-tire stops. So it should be fresh for everybody that pitted. So the big difference there is those 50 laps between pitting on about lap 30 for most of the field and pitting on lap 30 for Keegan Calic versus pitting around lap 80 for the rest of the field. And so those 50 laps showing up, Calic right now back to the 3rd spot. It's going to be Clint Halterman, Alex Hallinar, those two on the same strategy, same set of tires. So that battle should be pretty even.
Kind of dittoing what Lee Kane has said here. Yeah, if you're Keegan Calic, like, you just got to commit. There's no point in you pitting early here and going for a mid-pack finish. And you know that everybody in front of you, Halterman and Hallinar are going to go at it. And you know that people are really, really eager. It's crunch time in the championship. Guys are going to be making big moves further behind. So what's to say that we don't have another caution here, that we don't finish under yellow? There's no point if I'm Keegan Calic and even thinking about taking this to the pits. You got to keep your foot in it.
Track position going to be key for the 29. It'll be 10 laps to go this time. Clint Halterman, Alex Hallinar, 2 alumni lead us to the green.
Could be potentially an all-alumni podium, I believe, here if Paz can clear Calic, but a good getaway from Clint Halterman. Here comes one of the Clemson cars to the inside of Calic, further back, but Clint Halterman leads us for a first green lap with 9 to go now.
That Clemson car back there was Nick Stockner. Kind of got screwed over earlier in this race and got involved, I believe. He actually just lost some positions at the end of race number 1, but now he's clawing his way back up to the front. This is Keegan Calic trying to hold off Ricky Paz, and now Paz finds Stockner to his inside. Stockner sends it off into the corner, and he's not quite clear of Ricky Paz. Now Paz going to get a little bit of a push from Wyatt Burton. Burton's got that 26 car fixed, and he's up to the 6th position.
Wyatt Burton, the long trip back, same too for Whitlock, as all of these guys duke it out for 5th. Big dive to the inside there from Calic. He knows how hard it is to the wrong way. Rebel for Burton!
Now Infinity got a little bit of damage and Wonder caution once again.
I believe if I'm thinking my math right here, it'll either end the race or we're going to get a 1-lap shootout here to the end.
So some more brownie points for Keegan Calic. His reward is more yellow flag laps here. And yeah, I mean, as you said, Marlo, I think the way this is sorting out, either a 1-lap shootout or a yellow checkered finish here, obviously not the way we wanted this to end, especially after how beautiful of an ending race 1 potentially could have been. But I mean, regardless of how this ends right now, Keegan Calic absolutely has to be happy with the night he's had. Same too for Hallinar. I think damage there further back for Ricky Paz. Might have had one element of the front wing ripped off. I could be wrong.
And that reminded me a lot of the incident that we saw at the end of race 1 with Cale Davidson getting into Ryan Whitlock. Stockner drove it in very deep and caught the right rear of Burton's car. And from that point on, Wyatt Burton was just along for the ride and unfortunately going to end a very competitive day. You can see Nick Stockner in the pits there on the scoring pylon, possibly some damage to fix on that 124 car. There he is with only 10 cars on the lead lap, he's going to cycle out to 10th. And if we do get some green flag laps, he'll have a shot to try to gain a couple of positions. Our Muhammad Alif had an incident with Drew Williams getting to pit road earlier. He's recovered up to 11th. But unless we see another crash, it doesn't look like the point leader is going to be able to go any farther, and his chances of winning this race are done. So Marlo, as a driver, when you're in this position, what are you thinking about trying to maximize if you're looking at probably a 2-lap shootout?
I mean, you're thinking you want to go full send right once that green flag drops. You're not going to have time to set up passes. You're just going to have to dive it in deep and hope it sticks.
We'll see if we see any of that from any of these front runners. Ricky Paz has gotten around Keegan Kallick, so he'll restart ahead of the 29, who we know is just a little bit slower, has a little bit less grip. Meanwhile, on that last run, I believe Alex Hallinar set the fastest lap of the race. So he is on the lowest fuel map, not worrying about tire saving, getting a little bit of draft, doing everything he can to maximize speed. It's going to be Halterman, Hallinar, Paz battling it out. Alec still trying to make the best of an aggressive strategy decision. And how about Ryan Whitlock? Heartbreak in race 1, right now in position for a potential top 5, but maybe driving his way forwards. Alex Finity had some damage in that last wreck, opted not to fix it, so we'll see how good the 321 car is driving. How about Riley Perkins up to the 7th spot? Jake Cummings has had an interesting tire strategy all day. He's up to 8th. Lucas Moody, after getting back on the lead lap, goes from 13th to 9th. And Nick Stockner, on about 20 lap fresher tires than the front runners, will restart in 10th.
So many different storylines wherever you look. So many guys almost wishing they could just stop the count here at 3 to go and willing to take their points. But you've got so many guys outside of the top 10 here with a head full of steam trying to get their way back in. Our Muhammad Alif, Williams, Crump, others who were leading this with so much pace, now with a lot of work to set off. What can Hallinar bring to Halterman? One more run to the checker.
And this is it. 2 laps to go. A classic green-white checker. Halterman immediately opens it up to about 2 car lengths. Can he complete the sweep after winning the race on Monday? He's going to use a little bit of the middle groove here. Try to maximize momentum on corner exit. 1 lap to go from Iowa.
Teammates, but the idea of teamwork thrown at the window. Hallinar looking to the inside, trying to clear. Clint Halterman now goes high and tries to find any clear air to get by. Further back, Whitlock tries to get to work on Keegan Kallick and Ricky Paz, but nearly they touch.
It's Halterman.
Oh my goodness, Clint Halterman in a barnstormer finish just clears Hallinar by 0.081 seconds. He'll take race 2 here at Iowa.
And it was a very aggressive late move from Hallinar, launched it off the bottom, but was able to keep it out of the left side from Halterman, clean all the way to the line, and it's a P2 for Alex Hallinar. Oh, so close, and all of our oval finishes this season have been fantastic, and so thankful that Iowa was not another. Clint Halterman will get to burn it down with his OWR teammates after Drew Williams won race number 1. It is an OWR sweep of the CiL Iowa doubleheader.
Wow. So many good storylines here. Alumni's really, really bringing it out here in race 2. Clint Halterman, who gave us a really, really good show last weekend at Atlanta with a lot of the old guys, finally gets to serve up donuts here in Newton.
Well, that is UNC Charlotte's very own Clint Halterman, able to maintain momentum, committed to the outside going into turn 3, stayed in the throttle all the way through, and is able to bring it home across the line in an incredible race. for the second time this week. He burns it down here in Iowa. And he has absolutely earned it. What fantastic stuff. We should get an interview with Halterman here soon. We do also have your rest of your top three lined up, Alex Salinar and Ricky Paz, in a moment. But before we get to that, Marlo, Jackson, first thoughts, man. Fantastic stuff.
I mean, I'll get us started here really quickly. Obviously, not the way we wanted it to finish. Obviously, we sacrificed a lot of cars and a lot of wings to get here. But a green-white checkered finish, a great battle between two teammates, two alumni for the line, and still, you know, wherever you look in the top 10, so many great storylines. I think I'll take it, and I think a lot of guys here up front will take it.
Marlo?
I mean, just an absolute barnstormer finish, as I could probably say all the ovals have been this year. Except for race 1, you had that caution that probably we would have had another barnstormer. It's ovals in this series just seem to get super uber competitive.
And we'll see if the rest of the grid shares your sentiment. Let's get started with race winner Clint Halterman, winner of race number 2 from Iowa of the CiL Iowa doubleheader. Clint, it came down to the last corner. How did you do it?
Man, clean air. That was really the main factor. I literally didn't have clean air for like 240 laps tonight. But had it when it counted in the second race. And yeah, honestly, I wish I could say I was all down to driver skill, but it was mostly just getting lucky with a caution, getting the clean air, and once I got by some of that lap traffic, I felt pretty good about my chances. Got a little scared. In the final corner, I thought for sure the top would be plenty good, and it was, but Hellner got way closer than I thought he was going to get. But yeah, clean air is king around here, so yeah, that's just what I needed.
This is the second time in the past 3 days that I've been interviewing you at Iowa. Is there something about this track that just clicks with you?
I love Iowa. I think so, yeah. I've been iRacing for a really long time. I started in 2014, so better part of a decade. And I remember the first 2 tracks I ever bought were Phoenix and Iowa. So yeah, I've been racing here for a while. This car, usually it's in a stock car or something like that. I haven't really done too much IndyCar in here, but I don't know. I don't know what it is about this track. I think it's just the multi-groove nature of it or something like that, conserving tires and stuff like that. But yeah, something about it just really clicks. I know Drew was saying he didn't like Iowa, then he won the race, and you know OWR swept the Iowa races this week. So I think we just need to I think we just need to go to Iowa every week. If I was making the schedule, I think that would be a fair and balanced schedule. We just go to Iowa and I never leave.
I honestly agree with you. It was some fantastic races that we saw tonight. I wouldn't be opposed to maybe we throw in a couple other races in there, but no. Anytime we can add Iowa to the schedule, it produces fantastic stuff and obviously worked out really well for you. So we're happy to get you back up here in victory lane. Anybody you want to shout out and give a call out to for winning this race?
Yeah, I just want to shout the Orange River Racing guys, of course. Like I said, Drew won the first race, so that was super cool. He's always been pretty competitive at these ovals. Ironically, got an IndyCar win before our next gym win, which is kind of funny. Nick was super fast. He's been super good here. He was super helpful. I didn't get much practice. He gave me some notes and pointers on how to set up the car for tonight. So big shout out to Nick. Ryan had a good race. Big shout out to Alex. He had basically no practice. Started at the back of the first race, made his way like midfield, and then finished 6th in the second race. I think that's his best finish in any CiL race. So he's been coming along nicely, and it's been nice to see him continue to get better at this. So shout out to those guys, and then shout out to y'all for putting on the broadcast tonight.
All right, thank you. That was Clint Halterman, your race winner at Iowa. Gets it by inches. We'll now bring in the guy who came up just inches short, and that is Alex Salinar.
All right, I believe Jackson's mic is muted.
All right, we'll we're working with here. Alex, you came up oh so close. Do you think there's anything you could have done differently coming out of 4 there to maybe get Halterman by the line?
I mean, I have to take a look at it. It's kind of hard because the outside line has so much momentum here. Unless he chose the inside and I was able to get his outside, maybe there's a shot. But I just didn't quite have the car to get him within 2 laps off the restart. Yeah.
Alex, Jackson Lambros, really quickly, sorry about that, guys. But, I mean, we heard it from your teammate. You've been kind of building the plane as you've been flying it here this weekend, but you seemed incredibly comfortable in the back half of this second race. Was this a spot you were even expecting yourself to be in, you know, at the start of tonight?
Well, I kind of went into tonight not knowing what to expect. I've been involved with the series heavily as a steward, but this is actually my first race since the Formula 4 days. I just kind of wanted to show these guys what I had. I know I have the talent. I just, didn't have too much experience with the car. Unfortunately, got taken out race 1. Had some decent long run pace. Kind of learned a bit as the day went on. And I was there at the end. I just needed a little bit more to get around Clint for the win.
Really, really great drive from you, Alex. Any shout-outs you got here from the podium?
Well, I want to shout a couple people out. I want to thank the stewarding staff. You guys can laugh if you want. They do a really great job week in and week out. I want to thank Tucker and Matthew Tucker and Ricky Paz for helping facilitate this league and this series. Without them, I wouldn't be able to meet all these amazing people here. I want to thank my family for helping me sim race throughout the years. And I want to thank you guys for putting on a cool broadcast. That way I can go watch this at the end of the night.
Always fun. We're glad you had as much fun behind the wheel as we had here calling it in the booth. That's Alex Hallinar, your P2 finisher, as we are going to now bid adieu to him and try and bring in our 3rd place finisher as Ricky Paz somehow, some way gets that number 19 back into the top 3. We should have him here in just a minute. Stay with us.
Ricky, welcome to the broadcast booth. You don't have to actually talk while driving this time. Congratulations on, I believe, your first podium finish of the season.
No, gentlemen. This is my first podium in my own series. I run the stinking league, and this is my first podium since I've been race director. Wow. What can I say? And my first student win. I don't know if you checked the charts. I don't know if you checked them, but listen, P1 student, I can't stop smiling. What a great day for Vortex and for the East Carolina University Chevrolet McLaren sponsored IndyCar sponsored by Chevy, and what a great time. What a great time, Chad. How was the race up here?
It was fantastic to watch. It was an absolute thrill. We kind of didn't know how the strategy was going to shake out. Keegan tried something aggressive there at the end and kind of just barely missed out on it. But what about you? What were you thinking at the very end? I think you restarted P3 or P4. You had the leader in sight, and you drove a fantastic race. What was the play?
Well, so we didn't have the first race I wanted. If I'm honest, I was falling back. I burned the right front off just a little bit too much in the first race, and as you guys probably noted, qualifying for the second race was based off finishing position from the first race. So we got trapped a lap down in a caution in a pit cycle, fell to 15th, and finished 15th. So I was a little nervous about starting 15th. Beginning of this run, I worked my way up to 10th, and then about lap 40, I was like, I'm going to pit. We're going to try something different. So we pitted, we took tires, we took fuel. And when that caution came out, when everyone was in pit cycle, we had about another 10 laps left to pit before we needed to pit. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to lead a lap and then I'm going to pit and we'll see what happens. And the caution came out just at the perfect time, trapped a couple cars down a lap. We pitted, and then it was about 40 laps to the end. And I thought, well, this is my chance. I think we restarted 3rd, and Keegan stayed out, like you said, different strategy. Talked to him about it. Tried something a little different than him. I knew that he was going to have worse tires on the restarts. I couldn't get past him until the second to last restart, though. So I was a little nervous that I wouldn't be able to get past him. Of course, at the same time, my good buddy Alex Hallinar got past me. So he got an awesome P2 and finally got past Keegan. 2-lap shootout. I'm shaking in my boots. I have no idea what's about to happen. I'm like, please, please, just stay here. Please, just like, I'm praying. I'm talking to my, Twitch chat. I'm like, can we do this? And somehow we pulled off first podium, first student win for Mr. Ricky Paz, FC race director from Vortex Motorsports. Guys, I'm so excited. I don't even know what to do. I think like I should throw a party. You think my neighbors will come over? Like, I don't know. This is crazy. I'm ecstatic.
Depends what you're bringing.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll open a bottle of wine, or I got a little bottle of champagne. Maybe we'll pop some champagne. Of course, don't drink if you're not over 21. But let me take my racer hat off and put on my director hat. This Iowa doubleheader and Indy 500 combo for our special events this season was an absolute blast. Indianapolis 500 was perfect. We got a couple changes we need to make for next season. We'll see what we do from the admin standpoint. The Iowa doubleheader, we were a little nervous. We were a little skeptical. I think we're done before a normal FC race. So this is pretty crazy. I still have time to throw a party tonight instead of going to sleep. So, gosh, I'm so excited. I hope the race was so much fun to watch. And
it absolutely was.
Yeah.
Ricky Jackson Lambros here with you as well. I'm actually going to make you put the driver hat back on really quickly because, the guy that keeps the lights on for us all season long just happens to get his first podium. And, by no means was it on luck. Absolutely wheeled it to the front there. But what's the mindset for the remainder of the season here? How do you feel like there's an ability to carry this pace and keep the party going for the next couple rounds?
Yeah, so the driver hat's back on. I think there's a couple of questions that I've been asking myself. I've been here. Some of the younger drivers would call me and the rest of the admin team, they'd say unk status. I think we're all unks. I've been here for at least 4 years now. So I'm kind of questioning, when's it time to hang it up for full-time competition? Obviously I'm in my second degree here at East Carolina. I previously raced for Valparaiso. Shout out Valparaiso and Ethan Decatur and all those guys. I used to race there. I was kind of questioning, what do I look like for the rest of the season? And coming into the season, I set 2 goals for myself. I wanted a top 10 in points in Formula College, and I wanted the top 15 in the Cup Series. I've had some extenuating circumstances that I had to miss a couple races in the Cup Series. But for the FC Series, top 10 is so back. We are so back, baby. We are right on track for our goal. I couldn't even imagine finishing third. I thought I was washed up and, spit out, shoot out. They put me in the race director role, so I'm not good at anything over here, but man, so many good cars out on track, Jackson. So many good cars out on track. And we just happen to be the best student and finish on the podium. I'm absolutely ecstatic. I'm sorry to a couple of my Vortex guys. They didn't have a good finish. But wow. I don't even have words, Jackson. I'm so happy.
Let's trade it then. I know you've got a party to run here and just as soon as possible.
That's right, baby.
But let's get some shout outs really quickly and we can send you on your way.
Well, my wonderful girlfriend Hallie came in my chat and told me to pit for a new windshield with 4 laps to go. So I think I'll say hi to her. Shout out to Alex Hallinar, Wyatt Burton, a couple of the other Vortex guys we were around. Shout out to Vortex friend group. Shout out the Orange Wheel friend group. They're a good friend group, and we're friend group adjacent. So good fun there. Shout out the esteemed panel, if you will. I think I won the esteemed panel battle because none of them finished ahead of me in the second race. So I'll take that. We take those dubs. Shout out, well, I don't really race for East Carolina University, but I'll shout them out. Shout out to Valparaiso University and Valpo's esports team. Shout out to chat. Shout out to twitch.tv/Sapicki. And shout out to Lee Kane. Can we give Lee Kane a round of applause? I mean, Lee Kane, he's been our broadcaster for this series. He's behind the cameras, and I just can't say thanks to Lee Kane enough. Lee Kane, a previous racer and a future racer in Formula College Series. So thanks to Lee Kane. Thanks to Cade Corbin, who's become our new premier broadcaster. And thanks to Jackson. And it looks like Marlo was in here a little bit. I know I raced Marlo for a little bit. He doored me, but we won't talk about that part. So good racing.
Oh, you want to get into that now?
No. I'm happy. We're fine. But thanks to the broadcast. Thanks to CiL. Thanks to the admin team. All my peers that helped me run this series. Ryan Whitlock, Drew Williams, Nick Stockner. Wasn't to be for Nick Stockner. Really wished he could have got a good finish tonight. Wasn't to be for him. Yeah, and shout out to Tucker because he's gonna have a busy next couple of nights after this race, I think.
That's CIL showrunner and ECU's own Ricky Paz. Ricky, go party. You've earned it, brother. Really, really good job, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Chad. Thanks, guys.
All right, Cade, let's land this thing. Absolutely fantastic. 2 races here in Iowa. Your closing thoughts?
I mean, Clint Alterman was joking a little bit when he said it, but running every race at Iowa, on the flip side of that, maybe running more oval races just in general. We've seen how much excitement oval racing produces. Texas came down to a photo finish. Indianapolis came down to a photo finish. Now this race here at Iowa comes down to a photo finish. And not only that, but they all produced different winners. Wyatt Burton, Ryan Whitlock, and now Clint Halterman. That's Halterman's first win of the season. Of course, a little bit of parity in the rest of the top 5 with Keegan Kallick, Ricky Paz, and Alex Hallen are getting their first career top 5s in this series. So I think oval racing is here to stay. Absolutely fantastic. We have another oval race on the schedule at Michigan, so we'll plug that in a second. But first, let's get to those results and see how everybody finished this race. Again, winning was Clint Halterman for UNC Charlotte, barely behind him. Alex Hallinar making his season debut from Binghamton University. Ricky Paz gets his first podium with Ryan Whitlock actually barely beating out Keegan Kallick for the 4th position. So another top 5 for the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Kallick rounds out the top 5 for St. Clair College. Just behind him, it's Alex Finity from UNC Charlotte and Riley Berkins, a career best 7th place for the driver of the 33. Jake Cummings winds up 8th after a late strategy call. Lucas Moody brings it home 9th, and Nick Stockner finishes inside the top 10. Wanted a little bit more, but 10th for the driver from Clemson.
You know, some really good racing. Very weird that we don't see our Muhammad Alif. There he is up in 11th. Nick Henley just behind there. Benjamin Fiore in 13th. Drew Williams, our race 1 winner, brings it home in 14th. Didn't get him back in the booth. Happy to go for double or nothing there. Thomas Crump, who was looking strong all night, in 15th. Dylan Beatty, 16th. Carson Wohlers in 17th. Adrian Tubakovic, a major shakeup there in the lap traffic, in 18th. Jacob Dick in 19th. Aiken Lamar in 20th. And rounding out the field here, bring it home.
21st, Wyatt Burton. 22nd, Jason Wallet. 23rd, Andrew Burrow. 24th, Andrew Voigt. 2 Andrews finishing right next to each other. 25th, Cale Davidson. 26th, Joseph. And then 27th, it's me. I finished last. I'm sad.
Still a good effort from Marlo Duncan. A lot of pace, and we appreciate you joining us up here in the booth. Same to you, Jackson. Always great to work with both you fellas. Marlo, hope you have better luck next week when we go to Watkins Glen. That'll be the next race on this schedule. I believe it's the Esports Classic presented by Texas A&M Texarkana, and that'll be a fantastic road race to watch. I know we talk about how awesome our oval product is, and it was on display tonight, but our road racing has not been a slouch either. So before we go, I do have the standings pulled up here, and we can do a little bit of speculation. Are Muhammad Alif able to survive and finish top 10 in both races? Same can't be said for Cale Davidson and Wyatt Burton, who were caught up in some crashes. So the lead going to grow for Alif to about 40 points. Clint Halterman able to win that second event, so he maintains about 80 or 90 behind Alif. Behind him, some bigger gaps. Jake Cummings loses some points to Halterman. Ben Fiore loses some points, having a rough day. Whitlock, a pair of top 12 finishes, so he'll move up a little bit more, but he's still back in the 8th spot. Keegan Kallick moves up to 9th, and I believe that it'll be really close for 10th between Jason Wallet and Dylan Beatty. So that's a little bit of what the overall picture looks like. We're getting down into it. If we do have a future graphic of what the schedule is going to look like, we can show that. But really just a great slate of races that we have to finish out the season. Here it is, Watkins Glen, of course, next week. Then we go to the Chicago Street Course, another week where we will be sharing it with the Cup Series. After that, Michigan, our next and final oval, which is sure to be amazing. And then we go down to Interlagos. Jackson, which of those are you looking forward to the most?
I mean, Michigan is that old school style racing that we're so used to in these cars, and I mean, you can. Our guess is as good as yours when it comes to who's going to actually win that thing, just because, it's literally Iowa, but like 3 times the size. So much back and forth there. So many great opportunities. I really think Chicago's going to be fun. Old school street style melee. Going to be really cool to see what they can do, and again, we're going to see some learning opportunities for the guys that double up and do some cup racing as well. But I mean, Watkins Glen, like old school classic natural road course racing. It's hard for me to find a round I don't like. Okay, that's what I'm really getting at.
Well, that just speaks to the strength of the schedule, how good those races are, and also how much they are going to test the drivers. A little bit of a similar question, but Marlo, which of those do you fear the most as a driver?
Fear the most? It's definitely
yeah.
got to be Chicago, because it's so bumpy. The walls are right there. But you could also say the same about Michigan. It's going to be full pack racing, one tiny little tap, and you're going flying into the catch fence at 200 miles an hour. So it's got to be one of those two for me.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and we hope that we're going to see some fantastic racing. And we hope to see you watching along with us. All of those races will begin at, I believe, 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. Central. You're not going to want to miss them right here on the Collegiate iRacing League YouTube channel. I believe that's all we got for tonight. And so we are going to go ahead and wrap it up and say goodnight from the virtual Iowa Speedway. Thanks for tuning in to the CiL doubleheader. I've been Cade Corbin, joined in the booth by Jackson Lambros and Marlo Duncan, and our producer